Hello, I believe I'm live. Hello to each and every one of you. Good grief, so many in the chat. Oh, should I say hello to you, Mike, because you're first? But you weren't really, because Jonathan was. Anyway, hello, Jonathan. Hello, Kim. Hello, Tony. Hello, John. Hello, Peter. Who else have we got in here? Kimmy's in. 2 Point Friday. Should have mentioned that. Hello, Debbie. Hello, Graham. Who else have we got? Hello, Mark. Vancouver Island. You know, that does sound fabulous. What's the weather like there? We're doing a weather test all over the world. We're predicted snow next week in the UK. Hello, Renee. And who else have we got? Don't want to miss anybody. Hello, Annie. Annie's with us. Excellent. Deb. Hello, Deb. Oh, do we have a full complement of Debs? I think we might. And there's Jonathan. Hello, Jonathan. Right, I think we've helloed everybody. Let me know if we haven't. If I've missed you, say hello. And if you're new and you're thinking, what on earth's going on? We're a lovely little family here, so do say hello to us. Right, we need to do some magic with slides and things, don't we? So let me get ready with that. Oh, that looks good. It's always a dangerous sign, isn't it, when it looks good? I will switch you over and we can get on. Right, I'll do that. Did that do a darn thing? I think it did that time. Right, now, me and the mouse have had an understanding all week. And I think I've cracked it with the mouse. It's got a mind of its own, you see. Right, I can see the chat. Mike's here. We're all ready to go, aren't we? Shall we have a look at what we've got going on? Oh, we have. Oh, I've left the unboxing on, but I haven't got an unboxing. Naughty, naughty me. I shall spank myself later. And I've left Mike's a mystery. But I know what it is, so don't worry. Do you know, why did I take the ball off that slide if it wasn't finished when it clearly wasn't finished? Can I just say, before we start, I'm on holiday. So anything could happen. But we do have the week at MacBites headquarters. We do have several updates this week. Then we're getting Crafty on the iPad, which I'll be honest, you know me and iPads, second-class citizens, but actually got more features on the iPad than the desktop. So brace yourselves. Mike is actually doing Football Crazy Part 2. You see, I know that. Now, Notion 2021, we are having a wrap-up show, which is full of tips and tricks. The tiny little things that will make a big difference, but that are not worthy of a session of their own. So I've wrapped them all up, and they're in the tips and tricks section. Right, okay, we are broadcasting in 1080p. Let's all have a laugh and see what YouTube has done with us. My lowest this week was 480, which was better than last week when it was 360. But there is a cog in the lower right-hand corner, and down there you can set that to whatever you like up to 1080p, so do that.
Mine was 1080p.
Oh, well done, Mike. Well done. It's the iPad that it plays with my mind on most. Anyway, while you're down there, there's a like button. And we were having a competition to see how many likes we could get before we actually started. It's telling me 7, which is pretty good, so thank you very much. But if you haven't given it a like, then maybe you could consider giving it a like.
I think Johnny missed it when you said no unboxing today.
Oh dear.
Yes, so I've had to realign his expectations.
Realign your expectations, Jonathan. But there might be one next week. There you go. Right, so how did the weekend start for us last weekend? Chaotic as usual. We had 8 music shows to sort out. Then we went into Marooned. And then at 8 o'clock, we went into By Request. But not just any By Request. Oh, no. It was a party. Why was it a party? It was our 1-year anniversary party. By Request started as one show, and it was to mark the end of Mike's presidential year last year. And we'd got the hotel booked, we'd got the band booked, it was going to be amazing. And then COVID struck. So I said, let's just take it online. Never mind the band, never mind the food, let's just take it online. And we did. And that night, Peter said, could you do the same next week for Province? So we did. And then after that, it was like, well, you are doing it again, aren't you? And that way, a year passes. So gifts were sent to us. Oh, look, we had cards, we had presents, we had gifts. If you've ever been with us in a buy request, we have a thing called a trio. And the trio is 3 songs that are supposed to have some kind of connection, but we're fairly fluid on that. So that gift that's in front of us there, when I opened it, it was some biscuits, some trio biscuits. If you've never seen a trio biscuit, because these go back a long way to when Mike and I were children. But if you've never seen a trio biscuit, that is a trio biscuit. There are 3 bits of biscuit. Looks like my fingerprint on the first one as well.
Renee says it was such a nice show.
Oh, we had a ball, didn't we?
And
Renee was with us all night. It was fantastic.
The theme for tomorrow, so I've told him.
The theme for tomorrow is seasons. And did you know we've had some amazing, amazing songs suggested? So that is what a trio actually looks like. Obviously not our music trio. And then just because we could, we had an Asda delivery.
But that's where the theme, the jingle came from, wasn't it? The
trio.
advert. Yeah.
Trio. Indeed. So Asda brought everything that Tesco had forgotten. Again. Which took us to Sunday. Oh, very, very important day, Sunday, wasn't it, Mike? Mike's wondering why now. Now, before you think, oh, that's Lola. No, it's not. That's not Lola. You could tell the difference between Lola and that dog because that is a boy dog. That is Iggy, isn't it?
Iggy, as in pop.
Yes, he's rather taken with Lola and Lola is rather taken with him. So that was Iggy welcoming Lola. I put him on a little bit of a loop. Lola had such a fabulous time. She was completely overcome with all the attention and fled to Daddy for some cuddles. Well, either that or she was nosing at the chat during Marooned. Look at her little face. Actually, she did that the last time a boy dog showed her some interest, didn't she? Yeah, Ollie's a bit over the top and she ran to Daddy for cover that day as well. So we headed into the week, a short 4-day week for us. I thought, we'll wind down to our holiday, I thought. It'll be lovely and peaceful, I thought. Yeah, it was a lovely quiet start to the week. Not major building work at the neighbours for the duration by the look of it. The day could only get better, I thought. Let's go upstairs and pretend that the Travis Perkin things isn't happening. And the first email of the day? The tickets are on sale for Christmas at Dunham Massey. It's March. That's got to be the first invitation or thing for Christmas, hasn't it? It's March and they expect me to know what I'm doing at Christmas. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, much less Christmas. In the meanwhile, let me have a look. Is that a different one? I think it is, yes. Much saner than the rest of the day, Lola was learning to type. That's not the same photo. Look where her paw is. Daddy's helping, but she did make her debut in the Marooned at MacBites headquarters chat room. It looked a bit like a mathematical function, but she did. She managed to type. She's so intent on the screen. Which took us to Tuesday. I thought, honestly, the most exciting thing that would happen on Tuesday was the fact that it's bin day. Yes, all of them, all 17 of them. No, seriously, we have 6 bins and we spend half our life ensuring that the correct recycling is in each bin. But they were going out on Tuesday and I thought, well, that's going to be the highlight of the day. Oh, how wrong was I? Apple announced WWDC for the 7th of June. It's virtual, but it's happening. So that was rather exciting. Which took me on to Wednesday. I took Wednesday very seriously. It was International Backup Day, and I did. Now, you might think, well, surely, Elaine, you back up all the time. Well, yes, I do. And 99% of the documents or files that I work on are in the cloud anyway, or one cloud or other. But I had purchased 2 14-terabyte drives, the one on the left and the one on the right. And the iMac, doesn't want to know. They're Western Digitals, and they loathe my iMac with a passion. So, out came the venerable 2012 MacBook Air, yet again, proving just how valuable it is. Why, you're wondering? Well, it was hosting Carbon Copy Cloner, and I plugged one drive in the left-hand side and one drive in the right. Not a dongle in sight. Those were the days. And while it strutted its stuff and Carbon Copy Cloner did indeed copy the one from the left to the one on the right, still in half the wrapping, as you can see, not had chance to put the labels on yet, but I didn't want to do all of that until they were actually backed up. And while I was doing that, you'll see at the front there I had a 1TB SSD and a hard drive enclosure to put it in. There's a reason for that, which I think I'll keep private till next week. But while I was doing all of that, Lola was perplexed. She went to the park, and that's a railway line. Where did that come from? She couldn't get under it. She's not a limbo dancer. She was highly suspicious about trying to get over it. But fear not, Daddy carried her. He picked her up and Daddy got over the railway track that has been installed in her park. And it came replete with a railway station. You couldn't make this up, could you? Do you know there's a council somewhere putting the bills up to put a railway in a park? Just saying. Oh, do you know, we don't even make this up. Thursday was very, very exciting for us because that was our last working day. We are now officially on a holiday. If you have followed our holiday adventures over the years, you need to be aware. Kim is checking earthquakes, let's just say. Every time we have a holiday, there is some global calamity. We did manage without one at Christmas, but, you know, can I just say, global pandemic still happening. But it is indeed our holiday. I can't work out whether Lola was thrilled or petrified, but she took to the sofa. You'll notice her sofa takes up the entire sofa, and decided that shimmying down under a blanket was called for. So, not quite sure. What do you think? Look on the face. What do you think? Like, oh, good grief, I've got them home for the duration. Lola, you've had us home for the duration for the last 14 months, dear. Which took us to today. And I thought I'd been incredibly remiss last week in not mentioning the week 3 update to ConeGate. I said to Mike, how's the cone doing? 4 weeks, it's not moved. In fact, if you actually look at the cone, because, you know, we've got that other thing, like the manhole cover thing. But the cone, look at the cone. The cone's starting to merge into the hedge. It's now got detritus on top of it as well. So I think we're stuck with the cone for the duration. That's week 4. Nothing's going to happen for the next few days because, you know, it's Easter. These things happen, or not. Tesco did arrive, but it wasn't Wendy. So Lola wasn't in the slightest bit interested until Mike mentioned that they'd bought jumbones. They managed to not bring half the other things that Mike and I would eat, but the jumbones arrived. So, you know, needs must. There's always a jumbone should Mike and I get too peckish, which takes us to 2 Show Friday. So, been a great week here. Let me know how your week went. Right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is WWDC because it's coming in June, as I mentioned. Now, we always cover the Apple events, and we had a lot of Apple events in the autumn, and not too many. Well, let's put it like this. We're expecting one in March. Well, I wasn't particularly, but Prosser was, and he lost his eyebrows. But when there is an Apple event, there is also a MacBites Live to cover it. So there'll be a MacBites Live 7th of June. Mark it in your calendar right now. There will be an episode of Marooned, and we will have our MacBites Live both before the show and after the show. So get that calendar marked right now, because you wouldn't want to miss any of it, would you? Right, so first update of the week. All of the Affinity apps were updated. Now, don't get excited. It wasn't a feature update. It was a maintenance update. But they are just as important if there's something broken in it that you particularly need fixing. And for me, there was. So the first thing that was broken was if you dragged an asset from the assets panel onto an artboard, if you managed to get the whole thing on the artboard, it may work, but most of the time it vanished. It was there in the layers, but not on the artboard. They fixed that. Right, now we've got a quiz question. Should have a jingle for this, shouldn't we? They have also fixed in Affinity Publisher Command-Shift/. Without looking, what does Command-Shift and / do? Now, not necessarily in Affinity Publisher, in any application. So let's head in here and open up Affinity Publisher and I will show you. But does anybody know off the top of their head what that does? That is a shortcut you should have emblazoned on your brain. Are you actually thinking of opening Affinity Publisher? Oh, you're just having a ponder. It's doing that I'm going to take 20 minutes to open thing. You know, like it does when you install any kind of update, despite the fact I had it open 10 minutes ago. Mike's going to post in the links for all of the stuff there. Do you already see your templates and presets? I don't know what you mean there, Renee. Give me a bit more information. But this is Affinity Publisher, and I will just make a new file. And the shortcut, Command-Shift / shows you the help. Not only does it show you the help, it actually focuses the search window. And from there, you can say, I want to know about data merge, and it will give you help topics on data merge, all of these, but it also actually pinpoints in the menu where that feature is. And I use that all the time in every application I use. Sometimes it's faster than actually navigating to it. You just put in what you want. And if you want to see the data merge manager, you just press enter and the data merge manager opens like that. That was broken in the last version, and I can't tell you how many times it was like, ah! So what I did was I tried to fix it. Yeah, that didn't end well. You can't focus that search window. So I'm happy that that one is actually back. Okay. When choosing new, you did not see the new presets. Did not see the presets. When I went to here and I went to new, that they're there today. All of these are there. I don't know if that's anything to do with the update, but I did see all of those. Yes, I did. So if that's a tiny, tiny update that I guarantee 99.9% of users will not see, but I can personally recommend, if you remember that shortcut key, it works in any Mac application there is. So it would make your life a whole lot easier to remember that. And then all you need to do is look for whatever it is, press enter, and it will automatically use that menu item. It's amazing. Love that. Totally love that. Right, so that was that one. The next update there was an update to Craft, which in itself was like, a bit of an update. But they said there were 2 big updates, but I actually counted 6. So this is Craft for desktop, but many of these features are supported in the iOS version, which we are going to have a look at very shortly. So the first thing is spelling goes free. So there is a 1,000 block limit on the free account, and you couldn't activate any spell checking in it. What they've done with that is it's now gone to the free version, and in your 1,000 blocks, you are able to use the spell checker. Now, the thing with the spell checker is, if I say to you, well, it's gone free, and you open your account, you're like, well, no, it's not working. There is a trick to that. So where did I put Craft? That's where I put Craft. And I do have a test page, and I will bring it on the screen when my mouse appears. I would appear to have, the mouse has disappeared again. Oh, it really has as well. It has totally disappeared, my mouse pointer. That is not, it's working, but I can't see it. That's an interesting one. Usually it comes back. No, it has totally gone. I'm never going to be able to run the rest of this session with no mouse pointer. Okay, let me try double. I have no idea where I am at the moment. Oh, hang on. No. What's it doing? Nope, mouse pointer has completely vanished. Anybody got a quick fix for that? When that happens? Well, when I right click, it comes back. Ah, gotcha. Me and this mouse pointer, we have a love-hate relationship. I love to hate it. Right, okay. Here's our test page, finally. Right, this was the one we shared some stuff with. Well, in the preferences for Craft, there is a language option. And you need to go in there and actually choose a language for this to kick in. Even if you have a pro account, you need to do that. The default is actually to have the entire spell checking system disabled. I don't know why they do that, but they do. I think with Craft, it's the neatest, smoothest spell checker that I've ever seen. So if we disappear down here and we try to type Sunday, but we make a mistake and we move on, it shows you the red line underneath, but I don't have to click anywhere. I just have to hover, and then it gives me two options. Well, three actually. One is Sunday, one is sundry, in case that's what I meant. And there's also a thumbs up button, and that will say, no, that is actually what I meant, and it will take away the red underline. So I just have to click there, but there's none of this right clicking, and then something else appears, which it does in Notion. It drives me insane. The spell checking in here is very nice, but the key to remember is that you need to go into languages and you need to actually enable it. I don't know why they would do that, unless people don't like the red underlines, but just be aware that that is actually what you need to do with it to turn that on. Right, the next thing is a universal attachment support. Now, again, you might have thought, didn't it have that because Elaine embedded PDFs and stuff? I did. But the support it had was very limited in terms of file type. And what they're now saying is that they support attachment of any file. I thought, really, let's test that. Let's test that to breaking point. So I did. So what I've got in here is one of the blocks. I think I'm beginning to see what is wrong with this. It's when I come out of PowerPoint. This is not good. Not good at all. There we go. Are we back? No, we're not back. We were back. If I right click, it's PowerPoint. I need to see Microsoft. Right. I've created a page within a page, which is universal attachment support. But we'll get rid of Sunday, and I will just show you that I can drag and drop a file in here. Now, you know that it supports PDFs, but what I'm after here is, what if I have a docx file? So I have a docx file here, which is the text of A Christmas Carol. Can I put that in there? And I can. You just drag and drop it. Don't forget with this that you have different views as well. So it always defaults in the layout to the middle one, which is regular. But you can make that smaller. More importantly, you can make it bigger. Which, if that was some kind of image, would actually give you... what's that? We need that one later. That's just a graphic. It will give you a bigger preview of the actual file. So what I did in this universal attachment support section here was actually add some files earlier, one to be sure what file types are supported, and one because some of them are like 14, 15 meg and I wanted to see if they would upload. And they do. So I've got a photo of Lola, and I've got some artwork, and I've got some pictures, but look at the file types. This first one is an Affinity photo file, and it previews. Oh, wish it did that in Bridge. This one is an EPS, and that previews. This is another Affinity photo file. Then I've got an Affinity publisher file, which also previews, as does this one, another Affinity publisher file. Then I've got an Affinity designer file, that also previews. Thank you for that, John. I will do that if it disappears again. But trying to do that with a Finder when I've got all the stuff that I've got running, it seems to come back if I right click in a certain place. But I will try that, see if that happens. All right. With the thumbs up, will it add it to the dictionary? I'm not sure if it adds it to the system dictionary, Renee, but it will make sure that I think it will add it to the local dictionary as far as Craft is concerned. Hello, Charles. And then down the bottom here, I've actually got two other files that are SVGs. And the reason that I put these up there, they do preview. These are actually what the files look like. In terms of you can double click it, it will give you a bit of a preview, but it's downloading that to actually give you a preview of it. And this was why I uploaded these earlier, because no one wants to sit here and look at stuff like that, do they? But the other thing, you can download them all. So you could use this as a repository, download them all. But these SVGs I uploaded because they're slightly different in how they preview. All of the others preview where you can see the entire contents either of the individual file, which is the photo one of Lola and the backup one, and the EPS. The publisher files show you the first page. The designer files actually show you all of the artboards. Many of these preview apps don't do that. They show you one artboard, but that one shows you them all. But the SVG are doing a weird thing. They're showing it you in what looks like a vertical phone orientation with the artwork just across the middle. That's just a quirk of SVG. But we did upload a Word file, so let's upload the Word file. What I will say with uploading the Word file, in fact it's not doing that, is it? Come on, let's drag you in. You say you're going to upload, but you're not actually activating, so why are you not doing that? Oh, you are misbehaving. Good job we saw it on the other page. It looks like it's adding, but it's not adding. So let me go back to this page. Oh, what is going on here? It's not navigating either. See it not navigating back? There's some funny business going on here. I think what could be happening is it's downloading that file and it's not letting me do anything else while I download that file. Although when I click in here, it is doing certain things. But that is your universal attachment support. I've done it with zip files. I think the zip files work. Well, I can't even move that at the moment. We might have to do that because I don't know what it's doing. So let's do that and let's get back into it and see if we can do it that way. Right. I've had that. Then went open up on the wrong screen. Why don't you? Right, this was our test page, this was our universal support, and there it has actually done it, and it's done it twice at the bottom. It's just not telling me it's done it. The one thing I can't seem to make it do is the default is the middle option, which is regular. This one is the tiny one, which makes it small, and if we do that one as small, it doesn't exactly put them next to each other. It's not a column thing like these are, it's just the way it works. But the thing that is quite annoying is it always comes in as the middle one. And if you're building up a view like this, a thumbnail view, you're going to have to change them to be the larger layout manually. But you can select more than one and then hit card and it will give you that view. So let's do that one and it will all move them round and there they all are. So I'm finding that quite useful. If I wanted to, which I do, you know, this one was one we made a couple of weeks ago when we first looked at it and we had what we did. It's handy for me in a demo to say, right, I'll put the demo files in there and then I've got a copy of them with my notes. So that I think is a bigger thing than they were implying that it was. But your mileage may vary. Right, the other thing they've done is improve the document details. Now you might be thinking, document details? What document details? Well, every document has document details. You don't automatically see it, but what we've got here is our test page. All right, left click, right click, back it comes. So this is our test page with all our content. Over here, you can choose with the sidebar whether you have it shown or not. And within here, there is the ability to insert or change the styles or work on the page, or see information, page info, or actions, or you can send this out, you can share and publish. Well, what we're talking about is the page information and the fact that they've actually added things to it. Doesn't look necessarily, oh wow, but it's very useful. So if we have a look at this, what it's telling you, you can view the document activity. So up here, we can see we've got other people in here. There's me and there's some external users. And the fact I've added 18 blocks, but there's been 5 comments. Those 5 comments, if you remember, were... which one did we put that on? Our 5 comments. I don't think it was Excel. Could it have been the week at MacBites? No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. It wasn't that one either. There we go. That makes sense. So here, this is where we've got those notes. We've got a record of that, the document activity, both in two places. One is in here, which is the actual document. But this is a subdocument of the test page. So it's telling us that in two different places. And to see all these comments, we do that. And here's all the comments that were made. Okay, so that is some of the document information. We can also see backups of the documents. So these are backups that are automatically generated. And if I decide I want to download one of these files, you know, either from earlier today or earlier last month, middle of last month, that was the first time we did it, I think, then I can choose to download them from there. One of the additions is the ability to delete the page from this page. So to delete this page from this page. Now that might sound a bit strange, but if you can imagine you're working with this and you add a new page. Now at the moment that's not a page, but we can turn it into a page. There's a new page and we'll make it lovely colour and we'll apply that. This is now a subpage of the test page and I can go into it. This page also has the ability to delete itself. So this page is for deleting. Right, the old way I'd have to do that is to navigate backwards and then find the actual page and then delete it from there. So this new ability means as you're working, you're thinking, right, I've taken everything out of this page that I actually need. I'm going to delete it. And instead of navigating back and potentially losing yourself or risking that you are deleting the correct page, you've got this option to delete it. Now, before I delete it, I'm going to show you the extra option that they've added as well, which is the location. And I think that's a necessity because as I started working with it, I never intended to replace Notion with Craft, and I haven't replaced Notion with Craft. It has no tables, it has no columns, but the overriding thing that I wanted from Craft was that it's cache local and I can work offline, because Notion was having moments and locking me out for 5 hours. So that was the reason I was actually using it. But as I was looking at the page, I'd be thinking, where is this page in the hierarchy? And while I could see it here, at least to the level of the parent page, where is the parent page? And that it didn't tell you. And that's what this location is telling you at the bottom. So its immediate parent is test page, but the test page lives in the inbox. And the beauty of this is I can actually use this to navigate. I can go backwards and forwards, up and down, wherever these are, doing that. So we're back to our page that we're going to delete, and now I'm going to hit the red delete button. It will ask if I'm sure, and I'll say delete it. And you've deleted it from the page itself. So Craft have pitched these as like, oh, and we did this as well. But I'm thinking that's actually incredibly useful, because it makes it that little bit easier for me that if I do want to delete it or I do want to navigate to where this page lives, it's one click in the page info and not me navigating backwards and then trying to remember where it was. So to me, I think that's actually quite important. Okay, the next one, title updates. Now, one of the things with titles, the titles we're talking about is the title of the page. So every page has a title, but you were pretty limited with what you could do with that. You could call it whatever you wanted, but they didn't make it easy to do extra things with it. So the extra things that you can do with it, she said, making sure that the mouse was over there and down and up and down, and hopefully at some point the mouse pointer will come back. Brilliant. Right, so the things it's talking about is when you make a new page. Now there's a few ways that you can make a new page. I tend to type in the title and then make it a page. So this is a new page. Now obviously at this stage it's not. I like my pages to have the blocks on them. So I just think that that looks better. And I do that with Command-Shift-L. And then I either choose that one with a bit of a colour. Let's have a green colour. Or I choose this one if I want it full width. And then I apply the style. And that then has become a page. So I have a page here. And the title is this bit here. So this is what we're talking about. Right, well, what they've added is the ability, if you remember, let's put a page in here, a nested page. To add a page, you've got this slash menu. And if I just page, now it's put a page in, and I'm actually titling that page a subpage. Okay, and I have then a page that I can drill down into. So if I'm here, I can go down into a subpage, the subpage of the page, which is in after hours 120. There's a million different ways to create a subpage, is what we need to take from this. And when we go into that one, that has a title as well. What they've added is the ability within the title to use the slash. So I can now press slash in here. I don't get exactly the same options because it would make no sense to do that. It would make no sense to have in here, you can make another page because this is the title. So what they've given you is a limited range of options that are to do with things that make sense with the title. So the first thing is you've got colour options. So I'm not going to use the mouse for that. I'm going to move up and I'm going to use the arrow keys. And you've got all of these colour options. But if you know that you want it red, then let's take away the slash. I'm not touching the mouse. Slash red. Enter. And it turns that title into a completely different colour, which I do find particularly useful. Other thing you can do in there, let's go back to the slash menu. You can change the font. So you've got the 4 fonts that you have available in here. You can change the font if you want, which wouldn't do any good for me at the moment. But it also has the ability to put in a time or date. So you can say today's date, tomorrow's date, yesterday's date, or now. So if I wanted to put in the time, there we go. And let's say we say on, and then I want a date. And I can just type date, and that will limit me to the 3 options for date. And let's say I want today. Not bad, but I wish I could change the format because I never want to see Friday. And I don't know where it's getting that from. It could be the system settings, but I don't have Friday on the system settings. So I would have to investigate where that is coming from. But in Notion, you can't change it, and I would be presuming in here you can't change it. But it's a nice way, a nice quick way to get to content. Now, you can then clear the styling if you want. So if you want to take away that red that you did, because now you want it green, you can do that as well. So you can take it away. And you can also put emojis in there now. I do like that one. Now, how I did that, because if you do slash and you type emoji, nothing. How I did that is the universal key for creating emojis on the Mac, which is Command Control Spacebar, and that will bring this up. It will show you the most recently used ones. I'm not surprised here that is one of the most recently used, not at all. So you are able to put those in the title, and that's the shortcut to be able to do it. So basically they have supercharged the title in there. Right, the next thing they've done is that you can surround a selection with brackets. And the brackets we're talking about are the braces on the left, the square brackets in the middle, and the round brackets at the end. So what that actually looks like, let me get this up, that up, that, there we go, excellent. So it's any text that you've got in here. So I should be in brackets. Right, select that and then type the opening of the bracket. So me typing with it selected, me pressing the square bracket surrounds it in square brackets, or braces, or round brackets. Simple as that. So for coding, for formatting, can be very important. Other people won't care. Right, the big thing that I do like is the craft branding on shared pages. Now, we had a shared page. You know we had a shared page because some of you commented on it. So Craft itself has shared pages and they are beautiful. They are really beautiful. But by default, they had the Craft branding on them. They've come to their senses because, you know, whether you're paying or not, you don't want Craft branding. If you're paying, you definitely don't. And even if you're not, you want to try and create something that looks like you've done it yourself and you can take all of the credit for it. So What does that look like? Well, we did have one that was shared, and I am assuming you are not going to remember that. I'm trying to get my mouse back again. Oh, this is silly, silly, silly. What on earth have PowerPoint done? I can bring it up, and sometimes it comes back and sometimes it doesn't. Right, I've got it. Okay, branding. Right, I'm going to share with you a page, so let's go get the link for that. I'll show it to you first, and there we go. Oh dear, it's opened in Vivaldi. Never mind, we can use Vivaldi, can't we? Right, here is the craft page. So this is craft.do what's new. Though you can share that, Mike. Right, you have in here a craft page that's shared. So if we scroll down to the bottom.
I shared that earlier, but I'll share it again.
No problem. Right, it says created with craft. Obviously, this is craft. So they want you to know it's created with craft. But what makes this so beautiful for sharing is people have actually created entire courses in craft now. Because in here, you can click, it will take you through to, you know, if you're going to buy things. But as you scroll down, this document is alive. So as we scroll down, it's showing you the updates I've just shown you. But when you get down to the bottom, you've got previous releases. And these open up in the sidebar. So it's very, very beautiful. But you don't want to see the craft branding, and that's what they've enabled you to do. Make shareable pages like this that you can click between, but without the branding on it. So somewhere we have our craft shared page, don't we? Which was in here, and it was the craft one, wasn't it? There, it was that one. So in here, if I go over here, and we've got the secret links and all the rest of it. Did we secret link it? We must have done. Why is it secret link turned off? Okay, I have copied the secret link. I will put that in the chat, and if you want to put a comment on it, then you can. And technically speaking, as you're looking at it, where's the chat gone? There we go. There's the page. There should be no branding on it. So I need to open it in a window, don't I? Inside a browser, and fingers crossed there's no branding on it. There's no branding on it. Fantastic. There's no branding on it. So if I make changes to that in here, so we've got... we don't want branding. Right, and I can turn that into a page and make that a sub-page. So we'll do that one. Oh, let's have a really lurid colour. There we go. That I can go into, and craft have taken it away. So I've got a sub-page on that page. What we should see when we go over here, let me refresh that, is when I click on this, this is how you create the navigation, and then you've got your navigation backwards. But we have no craft branding on it. So you could create this as a newsletter or a course, anything, a document with subsections, and share it, and them not know particularly how you've done it, apart from the fact that you've got craft in the URL. But, you know, people wouldn't know because not everybody knows craft like you guys do. So that's another thing that they've added that I think is a good thing to do. I seriously think that is a good thing to do. Right, okay. Let's head back in there again. Okay, now moving on to getting crafty with craft on iOS. So, as we all now know, it's a block-based note system, very similar to Notion. The thing is, in terms of, I mean, you know why I had a go with it, but the thing with a block-based note system on iOS, it doesn't end well. iOS is great for certain things, but block-based note systems, trying to move the blocks, trying to format the blocks, it can all be a bit fiddly. But craft is beautiful on iOS. Not only that, but...
I can vouch for that.
Vouch for which bit?
That it's fiddly on iOS.
Craft isn't fiddly.
No,
though.
Notion is.
Notion's very fiddly. Notion, I have tried delivering live training with Notion, and it's like, well, you know, I've organised it. I only need to slide back, darn it. And something happens and it's shot off somewhere and I've lost my place. And, you know, I then have to vamp. just yak. Oh, look at the weather. What's the weather like today? While I try and get back to where my notes were. The thing with Craft is it was built for iOS. So as soon as I heard that, I thought, well, I won't be trying it for the Mac then. And then I did, and the rest is history. But when I got to it on iOS, I thought, it'll never work. It'll never feel as easy to work with as a desktop. It just can't, it won't. But it did, and I surprised myself. So I need to do two things before I can show you that, don't I? One is get my mouse pointer back, although at the moment I don't particularly need it, but that's not the point. So let's get that back. It's random, this. It's totally random, Mike. Anyway, it's back, so let's not worry. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of Craft here. I'm going to get rid of the What's New. Don't need to see that either. What we do need to see is my iPad. So I have an iPad here, which means I'm going to have to change my glasses, which means I'm not going to be able to see the chat. But never mind. Mike will keep me up to date, won't you, Mike?
Yeah.
Right, so what I actually need to do here is find Craft and get it shared with you. So let's see how that goes. Yeah, sometimes it's fine and other times not quite so fine. Fingers crossed. It's having a think. It said it was... there we go. Okay, let's get that full screen. Where are we? There we go. Excellent. That looks very lurid. And the Excel on the green looks hideous. But trust me, it doesn't look that bad looking at the iPad. She said, no, I've lost my other glasses. No, I haven't. Put them behind the other iPad. Right, so I'm not going to be looking at the screen, Mike. You need to look at the screen in case my sharing stops. Right, we are looking at exactly the same account on my iPad. It's an 11-inch 2018 iPad. That is what it looks like. So, navigation-wise, it's identical. Now, this is one of the Project Catalyst apps, which Project Catalyst allows developers to develop for iPad and then port to the Mac. So technically speaking, it should be identical, and it actually is. So first of all, we have all the documents. Then we've got any documents that are starred, which I haven't starred any. And in my inbox, I've just got the test page. I actually have all of my applications, and I'm talking, when I say all, I don't just mean notes. Parad, which is P-A-R-A, and it's Projects, Areas, Resources and Archive. I actually have Spotify Parad, believe it or not. You think about it, a by request show, when I'm doing my research for what song have we got for this, what song have we got for that, and then I can port the whole thing over to our DJ system. It's in there. And then I've got areas, so I've got 60s stuff, 70s stuff. I can para it. Anything can be parad. So in Para, I've got my projects, which is I've been researching craft. I've then got all my Mad March stuff. So those are active projects that I'm working with. My areas are I'm working on a presentation, so I've got a folder for my presentation. Couldn't possibly tap on the MacBites one, could we, Mike? Not with young Jonathan on the edge.
No.
No, can't possibly tap on the MacBites one. But MacBites is an area, it's an ongoing thing. Then I've got resources, and then I've got archives. So when I finish using something, it goes in the archives. So we're going to work on that test page. So what we're looking at there is we do have preferences down in the lower left-hand corner. You've got exactly the same preferences. One of the fantastic things, given that this is an iPad, is that it has the entire shortcut collection, same as on the Mac. And you can configure them however you want. But if you have a keyboard attached to your iPad, then it works exactly the same as it does on a Mac, which is like, that's interesting. I like that idea. Kim says, is everything on your Mac shared with your iPad via the Craft account? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But the good thing is that once it's synchronized, it's downloaded it. So if I were to go offline, I could carry on working on my iPad. Like when the power went off, which it did a couple of weeks back. I can carry on working. I'm not going to get this problem of, I'm trying to load this page and I can't load this page. Everything is downloaded to the iPad, and then I can carry on working. And then when I synchronize back, it will sort itself out in terms of if there's anything created on the Mac that wasn't synchronized, it will synchronize it too. Okay. Right. Ah, right, I've got you, Renee. Okay.
I was wondering that.
Yeah, I was reading that and thinking livestock. Okay, livestock. But I get you. Okay, if you want to create an extra folder, you have folders underneath the inbox on the left-hand side, and there is a plus, and I can tap on the plus, and that will enable me to create a new folder. So I will put in there demo. I can choose an icon for that folder. This is a bit fiddly on iOS, isn't it? But I don't need the keyboard. First block of icons are unique to Craft. And they're nice if you want that minimal interface. But as you scroll down, you get access to all your emojis as well. You can also search. So if I want something like film or video, you see film gives me those. I use a clapperboard. So if I put clap, I'll get the emoji clapperboard that I can have, so choose that. And that's going to be the icon for that folder. Obviously, there's another way to do that, which is you could tap in there and you could switch over to your emojis. Hang on, that's not my emoji. There's my emojis. Let's have a tooth emoji in honour of Kim. Right, and you could put that there. There is a difference between the two. So I'll leave it there so we can see the difference. The system level one is the one on the left. The one I've put next to it is nothing to do with the system one. That's just in the name. That will have an impact should you wish to organise things A to Z. Emojis always go at the end. So you do have two options there. You can also on that edit it, so I can go into it and we can take the tooth away. And then we're left with, I'm doing a demo video and it looks like that. I must admit, I try to stick to the default icons. I wish there were more of them, just so I've got a consistent look. So my Craft one is a little notebook. The MacBites one is the headphones, but they're not actually emojis. They tend to be the flat ones. So what I do for a video one, if I go in there and edit that, in here, there is actually a clapperboard. It's there. That does not come up in the search. The search searches the emojis. So I would tend to use that one, and it just means that it just blends in a little bit better. So that's how you create a folder. And you can create folders and documents similar way. So in here, in the top right-hand corner, I have the pencil icon. I can tap on that and I've got a new page in there, and that's a new page created. Tap and it takes you back. So what we're actually looking at here, we're working down the left hand side. We've got our folders, and within that subfolders, and within that documents. There are an entire range of preferences, so you can change the appearance. You can have it system, you can have it light, you can have it dark, and you can even choose your interface accent colour. All of this is on the Mac version. It's identical. So you can even change your icon. I have not changed my icon. I've got time for stuff like that. A lot of the time, I do work with a dark interface. With this one, I haven't done. I don't know why, but I know Kim does. So you could make it a dark interface, and then you would get something that looked like that. And what does that look like with a document open? Not bad. Not bad. Let's go into our Craft document. That could live with that. Let's put it like that. I might change that. We could live with that. But I'm about to change it back to the default. So look away now. It's going system, which means it's going light. Okay. You've got your language and your spelling in there. Now, there again, you can see in here, I haven't enabled the spelling. I haven't actually gone in and done that. When I'm working on an iPad, I tend not to be typing stuff in. So the spelling is less relevant. But it is there, and you can turn that on English UK in there. You've got the spelling on. These settings are identical to the Mac, all of them. If you have a problem synchronizing, there's diagnostics, and you can send that backwards and forwards to them as well. They can send them feedback. You can view your shortcuts, edit your shortcuts. You can change your email from here. You can also sign out and sign into a different account. But remember, you don't particularly have to do the juggling of the accounts, because in the very top left, we have my name, and underneath that, I've created a space for Mike and I, which is the Giles Thomas one. So there's all the things that we've got in there, and that's a totally different space. I have a different set of folders, a different set of files in the inbox. I have different things in the starred, and all the documents. There are only 8 documents. So spaces are fantastic. We did do a bit of a test. If one person with a Pro account puts some stuff in a space and that collectively gets to over 1,000 blocks in the space, then the other person needs a Pro account. So we did test that. Guess who's now the proud owner of a Pro account, Mike?
Me.
It's not often I say to Mike, oh, this is good. And he listens to me. But he did this time, so he's now the proud owner of a Pro account. We are actually using this. Do you know what that means? Incoming treats potentially for young Jonathan, who was still awake at 1:45. So I'm hoping not 10 minutes on, he's still awake now. Right, the area on the right-hand side, I'm starting at the top where I can toggle off that sidebar. Personally, I much prefer to see that sidebar all the time. The next icons are to move you backwards and forwards between the documents. Moving across to the right-hand side, you've got your search. So I could search for things in there like whatever's in there. Like, so shall we do an after hours? After hours, there we go. There's all the after hours that I've got in there. And I can switch, I can literally just go to that page. Moving down, you've got the fact you could create after hours. Oh, Jonathan, this is turning into a good match tonight. If you're unaware, there's 2 points riding on tonight because it's a bank holiday. Oh, it's important. And actually, if Jonathan wins, he gets 2 points. But more importantly, if I win, I get 2 points. So I'm quite happy about that. Although it's not looking good for me, is it? Because Jonathan's still wide awake. Oh, well. Jonathan, I think you might need to win tonight. We'll see how it goes. So you can actually type something in there and use that to create the page. So if I wanted, instead of that, to put in a new page. So a new page. Right, I have a document called new page, but I also have an action that says create a new page. And down there you can see I've got blocks talking about new pages as well. So the search is pretty good. I actually want to create a new page and now I've got a new page. So I've used the search to actually create the page. That doesn't live anywhere in terms of my folder structure, so it lives in the inbox. You will see that page in 2 places. 1, the inbox, and 2, all documents. Other than that, you won't see it in the folder structure because you've not actually put it in the folder structure. So it needs to live in the inbox. Then you have the ... And the ... enables you to change how you're viewing these things. So at the moment, it's sorted by name, but it's got this first view that's like the block view. The second view doesn't give you the varying length depending on the contents. Everything is a square block, a little rectangle. And the third one is the list. That will give you a very small thumbnail, but it will give you more information. So you can see when it was updated, when it was created, stuff like that. You can change that to the date it was updated or the date it was created. That makes no sense to me, but it might to you. You can see the stats on your inbox as well. So that's how many documents are in there, how many blocks they contain, how many pages, what words are, what characters are, and reading time. Now, reading time is quite important if what you're doing is you've created a folder to put your blog posts in, and it will give you an estimated reading time for that. So that is quite cool. Right, then you've got your export and import. So you could export everything from your inbox. We'll look at this later, but it's got the options. Not necessarily, well, I think that's pretty much everything you'd need. You can export as Markdown, which will give you just the text. You can export as a text bundle, which will give you Markdown and images. Or you can export to PDF, which will give you a beautiful PDF. Or you can export to Word format and then carry on editing later, wherever you need to edit later. You can import as well, and you have the same 2 options as Markdown files or text bundles. That's incredibly powerful here on the iPad because you have the ability in something like Bear to export. So if you've got Bear, now remember Bear was free for basic use, you could have in Bear some notes and you could export them from there on an iPad and then import them into Craft on an iPad. So there's no need to do a more circuitous route where you take it to a desktop. Right, we then have the how to use, so that's your instructions and the ability to send feedback. The what's new, which will actually open up in a mini browser, the page that we looked at on the desktop. And of course you have complete fidelity between those pages as well. So if we grab down at the bottom one of these pages, the only difference here between this and a desktop is it actually opens that second page fully rather than having it in a slide over. But you can navigate with the breadcrumbs. You can navigate with the navigation buttons at the top as well. So that is a mini browser. So that's the interface that we're working with there. It's identical to the Mac. It really is. So I'll send that back to the way that we have it, which tends to be like that, and we'll go in here. It looks the same. It behaves the same. So we will go down the bottom and we will add a new page. Now, by tapping at the bottom, what's happened is it's taken me into the standard edit mode in this document. And here I can just start typing. So in this case, this is some text. And I'm just typing in as I would any other way. If I, at the beginning of that, when I was typing it, so let's move that right back to the beginning. If I typed in the dash, which is just above the X, and put a space, it will turn it into a bullet. If I'd have put in there, that's me tapping in the wrong place, enter, and delete that bullet, but put in 1 and a full stop. Where's the full stop disappeared to? There we are, and a space. It will turn that into a numbered list. So all of the options that you would expect and that you have on the desktop, you have on the iPad. The iPad, however, can get a bit tricky, can't it? It gets a bit tricky in terms of, let's have that with that some text. And we're then going to have bullet 1, and we'll have a bullet 2. That should not have happened. Bullet, there we go, 2. And we'll have bullet and 3. Okay, so we're building up some text. Then you remember, darn it, after bullet 1, between bullet 1 and bullet 2, so you tap done and you're done. And there's your text at the bottom. And then you think, oh, I needed to add one between, this is some text. Let's say we need A1 before B1, but now I've got a bulleted list. Obviously, it's really simple to do that. You tap at the end of the text, you press enter, and you put in your A1. I think I need a drink. Right, drink. So that's relatively straightforward to do. But if you're in this mode when you're doing it, this is what I mean by very well thought out as an iPad app. Let's look at the bottom of the screen. We have a plus button that's hovering meaningfully over 2 squares. We have that bar, which has some text in it, which looks like we should type in there, doesn't it? We also have 3 bars at the end of that block, incredibly faint, but still there. And then we've got the ... So what on earth does all this mean? Okay, let's start at the left. The plus, and you tap that, gives you this menu that is offering you specific things to add. Some of these not supported on the Mac, like scan or sketch. So I'm going to come back and look at these, but that is allowing you to put in different types of content. The AA in the middle, if I tap on that, it's the equivalent of tapping in the document. It goes to the end of the document and allows me to add B4 to our bulleted list. Okay. Then we've got the dashes. We've got the burger menu, the 3 lines. If I tap and hold on that, this starts moving around. And that is what enables us to be really precise and put A2 exactly where I need it to be without tapping and entering and putting the bullet point, the rest of it. If you've ever used things, it works like that. It's beautiful. So I'm tapping and holding and dragging this up, and wherever I want to drop that, I can then put the next thing in that I want to put. So extra content. And you're just being very precise with where it's going. So that's what that one's for. The ... at the end is also genius. That enables you to undo or redo or paste. And these things are in a predictable place. So once you know exactly where they are, you can fly through this. So the power of this for the iPad, as far as I'm concerned, is wow. Look at that at the bottom. This is as good, if not better, than a Mac app. It's not often you will hear me say that. Trust me. Trust me. So let's go back here. And once you are in edit mode, which we now are, we now have the standard toolbar across the top of the QWERTY thing, where you have your undo, redo and paste. You have the suggestions, I, thee and this. But above that, you have an extra toolbar. So starting on the left-hand side, I don't think it's obvious from that until you know what it does. But that's the slash menu. That gives you exactly what you would have on the desktop. So if we wanted to make this green, we could start typing green, enter, now it's green. It would be better if that deleted itself, but technically speaking, that's now green. So that is the slash menu. You want to go through that and turn that into a block, you can do that. You can go back to it. You can turn that into, where's the block gone? A focus, put the focus on it. Focus block. There we go. And all of that feels totally natural. That's impressive. That's incredibly impressive as far as I'm concerned. Right, then you've got the AA. So when I tap on that, it hides the keyboard, but you're about to format this block. Now, I'd like this to be a subheading, and that's not an option. But those options there are exactly the same as you would see on a Mac. So if I tap more, there is my subtitle. So now it's a subtitle. And then tap away when you're actually done with it. Well, there's a done as well at the top. Then you've got this in the middle, which will give you a line. So that's your horizontal line. You've got your plus, which is the same as is on the left-hand side when you are not in edit mode. You've got paste, and you've got the option to hide the keyboard, like that. Right, let's start actually adding some stuff to this now, shall we? Oh, indeed. Right, I'm going to come to the done, and I'm going to use this view down the bottom. So the first thing it can do is just pull something in from your photo library. This is not a demo iPad, and I dare to think what's in the photo library, so I'm going to leave it alone. But it is just going to pull in from your photo library. The next one is camera. So if I tap on camera, you will need to give it a permission first. So that's the first thing. I haven't done that yet because I wanted you guys to be able to see it. So I haven't done that yet, but I am going to allow it. And then you get another one. Would you like to access the camera? And I'm taking screenshots of these as we go because once I've done it, I won't be able to go back and take these screenshots again. So I'm going to tap OK to that. Right. This did happen on a different iPad. I then had to go back and then choose the camera again. And there it is. There's me in the chat over here. And there's my keyboard. There's my snazzy new cable. Snazzy new USB-C cable. My Johnny board's empty because I'm on holiday. But there we go. We'll have a picture of the Johnny board. Oh, we could go all Inception, couldn't we? No, we mustn't do that. Right. So take the picky. That's the one I want to use. So down in the lower right, I'll tap Use Photo. And my photo's straight there. Straight in my document. How cool is that? Think phone. Think phone. Oh my. Right, so that was adding that one in. So I'm going to go back over here. Right, so library's just pulling it in from your library. Camera's pulling it in from the camera. You have the ability to search Unsplash here. So if I wanted to put something in here that was to do with... Oh, shall we see if there's any Samoids? That'll lose me for the entire night. Look at him. Oh, he's so cute. He looks like Maya. Right, so I can take them in from Unsplash. Let's go back to add. Next thing I can add is a sketch. So first thing I'm going to do is get right down to the bottom of the document. And I'm going to add a sketch from there. So add sketch. Right, it brings up an environment for you to sketch in. Now this happens to be my 11-inch iPad, which I happen to have a pencil with. So I've got my pencil. But you can, if you look in the top corner, draw with fingers disabled. Or you can enable draw with fingers. Drawing with fingers won't end well. That's me drawing with fingers. Not that I can guarantee it would be any better if I didn't draw with fingers, but let's disable that. And let's say I wanted to try and explain what a mail merge is. Right, that I have data in a database. This is going to be pretty ropey, but, you know, bear with me. We have data in a data source. We have a blank document that we would like, and I'm drawing on this in a very strange angle. Right, we want to take the data from the database, we want to take the blank document, and we want to turn that into a series of documents that actually have data in them. Oh, this is what I used to do, wasn't it? You know, in the classroom with students. Yeah, I would draw this kind of diagram. Oh, look at you blankly. There we go. So we're taking two data sources and we're merging it into a data file with our data in it. Then I'm going to tap, shall I colour things in just for the sake of it? You know, is that a bit gratuitous? Tell you what, let's highlight some of the text. So the point is we're making that we've got text in it. Right, then you need to tap the done in the top left and save the changes. And that will get put in your document. Is this all travelling back to the Mac? Is it all travelling back to the Mac? I would show you that. I'll have to change my glasses. Oh, I'm going to love this. And that's not going to do that unless I come out of that. So let's bring this in. And where were we putting this? Here we go. So yes, it is in real time. All of it. Even the document. Now, that's why I said it's not very often you will hear me say the iPad version of any app is better than the desktop version. But the iPad app gives you the ability, because of the nature of the device, to take photos, which I've done with that one, and to draw diagrams, which I've done with that one. Now, some people have said the pencil support's okay, but they would just like the ability to like draw all over the thing. It's enough for me if I can insert a diagram. That's enough for me. I don't particularly want to draw and annotate all over the rest of it. Yeah, if you want that, OneNote's your friend. But just to say, if I'm trying to prep something and I'm in craft and I'm on an iPad stuck somewhere in a car. Oh, those were the days. Yeah. Not been out in a year. Never mind. Stuck somewhere without a Mac. Oh, like when the electric went off. There you go. There's an example. Then if I want to put a slide together and I want that diagram on it, but I can't get to my slide presentation app, then I can just draw it out on there. And then that's enough to remind me that when I get to a computer that I can actually sit and play with PowerPoint, that's what I want to create. That's enough for me. For other people, they might want a bit more than that, but that's enough for me. And that's using Pencil Kit support. Okay, so we're back to our iPad interface. Right, so we've got a diagram. We've got a sketch. We now need a scan. She said, frantically looking round, have we got a magazine of some description somewhere? Or something. What's that? That's got text on it. Oh, it's a card. It has got text on it, though. Do you think it would OCR?
Try it.
No. I need something. I've got a bank statement. I could do the back of a bank statement rather than the front. There we go. There's a bank statement, a UK bank statement. Right. I've put it on the desk. Now, caveat on this. Can you just get rid of that, please? Mike, pay attention, honestly. You turn your back and he's got his phone in his hand. Right, this time I'm going to add a scan. This would work better if it was on something dark. So let's tap the scan option. And I've got it pointed down here at my bank statement. And it didn't do a bad job there, did it? There you go. It's taken it. So that's the first one. It says you're ready for the next scan, but I'm just going to say save on that. And as we scroll up, it should appear at the bottom there. Do not make a liar out of me. You're making a liar out of me. Oh, no, we didn't. It's put it here. Well, I'm waiting for it. It's at the top, scan document. Right, it scans as a PDF. It's a fairly big file, that, at 3 meg. But it will open it up, and there it is. There is my scanned document. Which, if you think about it, that's pretty cool. There aren't many apps. There are scanning apps, and then you have to do the old shuffle, taking things from the scanning app to where you want them to be. Whereas in here, this is just integrated. There you go. So that is pretty quick as well. It was the speed of it. Right, we could probably do with... I think I've got a magazine here. Oh, I have. Right, let's take this magazine. I'm opening this magazine as we go. It's my National Trust membership, which has been grossly underused this year. But never mind, they need to eat as well. So I'm opening up my National Trust magazine. Let's see if it can take a picture of the front cover of that. In fact, this smaller one might be handy. There is a small handbook as well. Let's try those. And handily, that one I think will fit the desk. So let's pop that on the desk. And let's go back. Let's this time go to the bottom. Do the ad, hit the scan. And somewhere down here, there's my magazine. It's actually struggling a bit with that. I might choose to take that. But it's struggling because of the shadow. Tell you what, give me 1 minute. Right, what I've done is I've turned a light on the other side of the desk, which should mean the shadow is more equal, which it means it should be able to pick it up. Or is it me? Is it struggling more with that? Oh, it's jumping around. It doesn't like the light, I don't think. I'm trying to hold it steady. Right, I've taken that manually, and you can see it was struggling with the light. I don't know why, it's really quite bright in here. But this is one improvement they could make. Right, these balls in the corner allow you to move it. But you can see that moving. My finger, by definition, is bang over the top of that circle. So I can't see when it's accurate or not. So I'll move it over the other one. This will be beautiful because what I'm doing is I'm not looking at my iPad. I'm looking at the screen that you're looking at. And that is the only thing that is enabling me to get that in the right corner. So even if it doesn't do it right, you can do it right. But the problem with it is there is another way to do this where you can take a scan and you can use the circles and it gives you a zoom to the side. Use the pencil. Right, let's see how that works. Oh, it's not bad. It's not bad. Oh, it stopped. It's a bit jerky, but it's not bad. Good call, Renee. Not as good as, what's my scanning app? Oh, what's my scanning app? Scanner Pro. But not bad. So I'm going to keep that scan and take that through. You can see there is enough light in here. There is definitely enough light. Now it's trying to capture the Johnny board. No, don't do that. No, I don't. I want you to just save it. Right, and there's my other scan document, and there it is. Did it? Yeah, it did do the whole lot. Are you scrolling? There we go. There it is. So the fact you can scan and it integrate in there is pretty cool. So back over here. The other thing you can do is pull a file in from the files. So this is, what have I got on here? Oh, it's loading in all sorts. This is my recents. So one of the things I've got in here that isn't actually used at the moment, but we'll do the WWDC thing and tap on there and it will bring that in. There's the MacBites Live. We'll do another one there and bring in an Affinity Designer file. Why not? Because we can. Oh, why not? Because it's not actually showing us anything. Come on, let's do the recents. Why aren't you doing the recents? Files, you just worked. You're playing with my mind. Okay, we'll go to... Where did I put it? I think I put it in Dropbox. And in Dropbox, it would be in... Oh, where would I put it in Dropbox? Oh, application support, of course it would be. And it would be in Affinity Designer. And there they are, panels and stuff. Right. What did I call it? What did I call it? Poster set. That was what I called it. And it's one of these. No idea. Do you know what? I'm just going to pick that one and be done with it. There we go. That one is the poster art set. You get a lovely preview as well. That is an Affinity Designer file. That is not a PDF or anything like that. It's a native Affinity Designer file. And that is also embedded in there as well. Right. Other things you can put in, 3 other things. One is code. So I would put this in when I'm putting something like a CSS style. So if I wanted a CSS style called important, I would, where are we going here? Where's my brackets? Got brackets in funny places. Important, and that would be colour, not spelt correctly, just saying. And then red, and then I would put the semicolon at the end of the line, and then down there I would need a closing bracket, and then I put in some CSS code. On line 2, can I get to line 2? There we go. And that is what that would actually look like. Now at the bottom it says code, and then it says other. It doesn't know what that is, but I will tell it it's CSS, and it should do something with that, to which I can then do that. So by telling it it's CSS, the class name of important becomes red, and the property, which is colour, no U, becomes yellow. So it just gives you a little bit of an eyeball as to which is which. So that's putting some code in. Let's get down here again. So we're down the bottom, and a formula. This is just a different type of content. It's a snippet, and you choose code, formula, or plain text. And then the same dialog box comes up. So you've got three separate options to bring this up, which is probably needed. I've no idea what you'd have to type in there, but let's say we put, would this work? Could I do that and then preview it? I don't, no, not for me. But if you were to type in a fully fledged formula, you would see something going on in there. Right, that's put it in a bracket up there. And the last thing that you can do with that, so these three things at the end, code, formula, and plain text, they're all using exactly the same feature. If I type plain text, what I would put in here is something like maybe a YouTube link. So let's just put the text of YouTube link. And done on that. And that is putting it in as plain text. It's a good idea to do that. It's a little bit more fiddly than Notion, but if I tap on one of these, you are in preview mode. All right? You're not editing that. I'm tapping and I can't edit until I double tap to go into edit mode. But in preview mode, I do have the ability to copy that. So if it's a YouTube link, I can tap once, copy, and I'm done. What makes that not quite as fast as Notion is the fact that in Notion you have a copy button over the code. But other than that, it works in a similar way, and it gives you that visualization that this is something different. It's a link, or it's some code or something that you want to copy. And all of that is available in here, rather than going out and getting extra applications to support it. All of the features that you've got on the desktop version, you have in here, all of them. In fact, it's like the other way around. It was built for iPad and it's been ported to the desktop. So if I want to add a page, so yet another page, right, I can do that in all of the ways that I could do it on the desktop. So in here, we could put page, and it's going to turn that into a page. I've also got the opportunity in there, so let's grab hold of that. And the decorations for that, we've already done the decoration, haven't we? Hang on, let's get that back there. No, I am not going to do it that way, am I? Hang on, what do I want to do with that? That's putting text in, and it shouldn't be putting text in. Right, okay, hang on, have I done that one yet? Right, let's go up there and do an ad. Have we done all of the ads? I think we have done all of the ads. Right, so what I really need to do in here is format that. And that is what I need to do. There we go. So you have exactly the same options. So what I did with that was I tapped and held. And that brings up these options at the bottom. On the desktop, these are the options on the right-hand panel. So the styles, all of that. At the moment, that is a page. So if I go in there, I can choose, I want it to be a card. I can choose exactly the same colours. I can choose exactly the same layouts and apply style at the bottom, and I can convert that. And all of that is happening from the stuff at the bottom. Also, I think I demonstrated this last week. So let's come out of there and go up to some text. We had some text up here, didn't we? Right. And I want to get out of that. Right. What was I going to do with the text? The colours of the text. So in here, one option is to choose the colour. So let's say we wanted purple on that. That actually isn't that clear, is it? Let's choose something you'll see like red. You can change it in that kind of way with your colours. You can also, I don't think we've done it on here, but if we go down to this one and we go into here, oh, we've got a line. Never mind, that's not what I'm looking for. We can go into, come out of that a minute. Let's get rid of that. Oh, I'm not good with an iPad, have you noticed? I'm much better without an iPad. Right, we have all our text styles available in there, meaning as well as just making it a heading, is it a title, is it a subtitle, you can even make the whole thing a page or a card straight from there. So you don't have to go any long circuitous way of actually doing that. Now, let's say all of this text. So we've got some text here. We've got all of those bullet points. And I want all 6 of those bullet points to be... I need to edit them in some kind of way. So let's say, first of all, that B1 is subordinate to A2. From this view, where you are literally just looking at it, I can grab B1 and move it in. And that should, I'm swiping, but it should move in. You're not moving in, are you? You're being awkward. But it is selecting it, which enables me to work with it. I can also, so let's come out, have a look at that. On the right-hand side, there's nothing. But as I tap and hold on one of these, we go into a different mode. And now I can make selections. So if I wanted those 3 a different colour, I could go into the styles and choose a colour. Let's choose purple. And now they are all purple, or a variant of purple. It's actually easier to get to the sub-colours in here than it is on the Mac. So those 3 are now that colour, but even better than that. So let's come out of the colours, all of those, and I'll just select. So I'm going to tap done to get rid of it all. So I'm going to tap the top one, that selects it. And now what I'm going to do is put my finger on the second circle, A1, and swipe down. And it selects all of them, which means I can go into the style and I can go into the colour and I can change all of them all at once. Another use for that is if I wanted the A's below the B's. So what I could do is tap and hold and get the first one and get the second one. And then I'm picking both of those up and moving them down. So once you've got the dots, once you've got them selected on the right hand side, whichever ones you select are the ones you're actually going to move. So again, tap, hold, that selects the first one. I'm going to tap and select the second one. And let's say I wanted this focus block as well, and I want them just under this is some text. Tap and hold again, move them up, and it's so smooth. It is so smooth. It is unbelievable. How do you combine some bullets to focus? So do you mean create like a focus block of bullets? So if you did, could you do that in here? Don't see why not. Let's grab the first ones. So that's got the first. I've got all of those. And if what you mean is turn them into a block and focus, that's it. Tap done, it's done. So it's making the selection that's the critical point and then applying the styles that you've seen me apply on the desktop. Exactly the same. Is that what you meant? Combine some bullets to focus. Yep, that's what you mean. Right, the other thing that you could do on here, so let's try and get this indent working. The indent should definitely work. I've seen the indent working. It works when it feels like it. It just doesn't like me. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to select the first one and do the tapper or swipe thing with these. I'm going to change that so it's not a focus and it's not a block. And let's say with this one, this B one, with that selected. Oh no, I'm going into it now. That's definitely not what we want. Tap there. I don't know why that's not indenting. I really don't. It was before. And it's not indenting. You should be able to swipe and then it indent. Maybe it's because it's a bullet. But you should be able to indent a bullet, surely. Let's put some more text down at the bottom here. Some text and some more text. More text. Right, okay. So I've got those in there. They're just 2 text blocks and I want to indent that. It's not indenting. It will indent if I select it. So if I select it like that, we get the selection. So tap, hold, it gets the dot. We can then, that's actually indented. Oh, gone. Where's it gone? With the style, and we should be able to indent from here like that. But you should be able to swipe indent, and it just doesn't seem to be doing it for me. Maybe I'm that unproficient with an iPad. It won't do it, but you should be able to swipe and it actually indent inwards. You can keep doing the indents, you can unindent here, you can apply the numbers. So if you don't actually want to type it, or things like this where you want toggles, you've got all of the same options that you have on the desktop. The key is making the selection, and the key to making the selection, let's go up to our bullet points, is to tap and hold literally just for a fraction of a second. And then in here, I'm going to swipe all the way down. I'm going to swipe all the way back up, or you can just tap the individual ones that you want, which is so smooth. Oh, that is so smooth. And don't forget that that's exactly the thing that you would do if you were trying to format these things, because each of these have got a selection dot on them as well. So all of those are selectable. Right, I'm going to deselect all of those and I'm going to select, do I want to select focus box? Not really. What I actually want to do is I would like something before there. So let me say that this is my group B, which indeed it is. Right, but it's not in the right place. So I'm going to use the features to organise it now. Tap and hold and move that above the B one. And then tap and hold again and swipe down. So I've selected the word group B and I've selected B1, B2, B3, B4. I now have a group option and I've grouped them together. Tap done on that. That is my group. As I open that up, I have a subpage. That's how you actually create a group as well. Once you've got that selected in here, you could format that. First off, you could ungroup it, which would bring it back in here. So that's one thing you could do. I'm going to regroup it. And then in the style of that group, you've got the option to tap more and turn it into a card from there. And we'll make that a wide one like that. And then just apply the style and swipe these down out of the way and tap done. And you are done. So absolutely anything that you can do on the desktop, you can do on the iPad. And more importantly, you can do other things on the iPad than you could do on the desktop. Is it a left swipe? No, a left swipe selects it. And what I'm finding on here is a right swipe is also selecting it, which is fine. But I swear the other day, prior to the last update, you could swipe and it would indent. And I don't know where they've put that. Let's go into the focus block in here. Let's actually get into group B. So we're in this page. And I'm swiping to the right. That's making a selection. So I deselect. Swipe to the left. That's also making a selection. Now, whether you can then take that and do something else. Well, it's not letting you swipe up and it's not letting you swipe down. But I swear that was indenting. And that's what I'm thinking. Is it because it's a bullet? But I don't think it is. It's either a left swipe or a right swipe. And what it's doing is making the selection. Now, obviously, you can then go into the style and you can move it in yourself. But it would be easier if you could just grab it. Okay. Renee's liking this. So what I've been doing with this is I've been creating in my areas. I think I did put them in my areas. I've been creating one of these pages like this for each session. And within there, actually putting the text in it, any graphics that I need in it. And using this, I've got an iPad, another iPad sat on the desk. I've already got 3 iPads. 3 iPads out on the desk, one doing the demo and one monitoring the chat and one with my notes on it, ready for using. And the benefit to me is the fact that it's not going to go from under me, which Notion could. What I then do is, so say like this page, if we assume that's finished, then I want to share and export that. So I want to export it. Now what it's doing in here is, first off, it's saying there's the secret link. But underneath that, depending on what applications you've got installed, you will have the ability to export to anything that's supported. So you can see I've got drafts, things, OmniFocus, Ulysses, Bear, DevonThink Day 1 installed. I do not have AI Writer installed nor Noteplan. But in this situation, I want to send it out as a PDF. So it's having a think about the PDF. There is the entire page. If you remember, it drills all the way down and I get all of my training notes, including in there my thumbnails from my embedded files, which is also supported on the iPad. I've got export options where I can choose whether I want to hide the title and show the page numbers. I don't want the watermark, I do want the page numbers, and I do want it A4. And then all I need to do is export it and then send it somewhere. So I'm going to do an airdrop to Mohawk, which is the machine that you are looking at right now. There's Mike, look at him, bless him. Right, and okay, that's sent. So that will now be in my folder, which I will share with you so you can see it. So in here, I'm going to come out of there. So we're finished with the iPad for the moment. Change of glasses. Okay, and over here, so let's get rid of that, out of the way. And I have this PDF, which is my test page for after hours, and there's all my content. And that was actually produced from an iPad, which is pretty cool, isn't it? Pretty cool. So that brings us to the end of our 3-part epic on craft, which turned into a 3-part epic from me saying like, craft, yeah, 5-minute job. But then I fell in love with it. For what I do, that's amazing. And the fact that I can do it on an iPad as well. In fact, there's going to be one more thing. We need a one more thing, don't we? I've just remembered there is one more thing that I do with it on my iPad, which is pretty amazing. This is where it really comes into its own. So let's say I'm researching Vivaldi. So I'm in Vivaldi and I want some Vivaldi resources, right, irrespective of what I'm typing, etc. So what have I got running here? So I'm going to come out of that and I'm going to run YouTube. And I'm, oh look, Inception. Here we go again. No, I mustn't put that on there. Right, we'll put Vivaldi browser and see what we can find about the Vivaldi browser. And there'll be some, you go, 11 reasons. Well, I want to watch that, but I haven't got time right now. So what I would do is bring Craft up and put it next to it. Don't even need it that wide. I could have it like that. I can either make notes from a video while I'm watching it, or I can actually grab that and put that, and I'll watch that later. There's another video. Looks like it could be useful, so I'll put that later. Come on, grab, and over you go. You gonna do that? Is that a picture? It doesn't look like a video, that. Okay, we'll grab this one. There we go. That's working fine. And checking out Vivaldi. So we'll put that in. The fact that that is so seamless is just amazing as far as I'm concerned. I love that. And of course, all of this is being written back to your desktop as you go. So while I'm just lounging, and not that I ever really lounge, but, you know, sort of lounge. While I'm sort of lounging with my iPad, I can drag and drop these things and choose to watch them later. What that actually looks like in Craft is, okay, now that says before you continue to YouTube. Oh, good grief, everyone wants my consent. I should be signed in. There you go. Takes you back to it, starts it playing. At which point you can then put your notes underneath it by bringing that back. And I think that is pretty amazing. So I'm going to done on that. And I'm connected to AirPlay, so it's doing all kinds of weird things, and you can't see it because it's blank, isn't it? That's not helpful. That is not helpful. It won't let me do that. You can't see what I can see, but what I'll do is I will take a screenshot of it and we will come out of there. So let's come out of there and shift it out of the way. Right. I'll take a screenshot and I will send it, and then I will show you what you should have been seeing, but I'm AirPlaying and it isn't playing ball. Okay. At what point did that go blank, Mike? I don't know. I wasn't listening. I was on my phone.
I wasn't on my phone.
Right. I have got what I was seeing, which is what you... What do you mean it was cancelled? I did not cancel it.
Now. I'm 30 seconds behind you.
Come on. Come on. Don't cancel it. Send it to Mohawk. Do as you're told, not as you please, basically. Right. I've got it. So I'm going to open this up, and this is what I was seeing. So as I tapped on this, it's saying before you continue. So it needed permission within Craft, which I've already given it, so I don't know why it wants that. But when I tapped on there, it took me out, and there is Vivaldi, and it's going to start playing that video. And then I can come over this side and type some notes on it. So that's one thing that I've been doing with it. Another thing, if I can get it to play ball again. So let's come out of there and get back to where we were. Come on. Out you come, out you come, out you come. I am trying to get a picture of this, and it doesn't look like... it's just black at the moment. Got to love this. It doesn't like it, apparently. It's not thinking about it. Ah, there we go. That's better. Okay, the other thing that you can do... There's my Vivaldi thing. The other thing you can do in here... Obviously, you can bring up any application that supports this, and I used YouTube as an option. But nothing to stop you grabbing Craft itself and having two Craft windows side by side. And you can navigate about at will. So let's say I'm looking at the Acorn thing, and then over here I want to look at the Excel thing. And I'm looking at two totally different parts of the same file, or I can go all the way back and I can choose a completely different document. So we've got that new page there. I can take notes on that, which again, I think is just a brilliant way of working, that you can see two different places at the same time. So indeed, it is pretty cool, isn't it? Craft is pretty cool. Right, I'm going to drag that out of the way. Okay, what did I have up next? This is going to upset my mouse pointer again, isn't it? Oh, there's my mouse pointer. Hang on to that before it disappears. Right, obviously Craft is not cheap, and it's probably on a par with Notion. And you may not want to pay for both. For me, I've got a use case for it that I can't be divorced from my data. I can put my data in Notion, that's not a problem. As long as I have a workable copy of that data somewhere that I can get to it in the event of a complete calamity. And that has been problematic with Notion. But to be honest, not for the last 2 weeks. Notion has been pretty rock solid for the last 2 weeks. I know they're working towards their API, and that's the problem of it. As far as I was concerned, I think it works out about... It's £3.75 a month. $3.75 a month. So to me, it's like less than $1 a week, and that's okay for me. If you keep below the 1,000 block limit, then it is completely free, and you now have the spell checking to play with as well. For me, it was worth going to professional, but your mileage may vary. Okay, any questions? Stick them in the chat. Right, freebies. I have some freebies. Did I put the links in for these freebies,
You
Mike?
did.
Oh, that's rather good of me. Right, we've got some mock-ups, and they're very nice white mock-ups like that from MacBook Mockups. Rather unfortunate name, but MacBook Mockups. Now, thing with these is they are completely free, but they are for Photoshop. So I thought, well, they're no good for Photoshop if they don't work in Affinity Photo. So that was my next port of call. Could I get these to work in Affinity Photo with no calamities? So I downloaded them. I'm going to be showing you, where did that go? I'm going to be showing you the 12.9 mock-up for the iPad. So what you get in the file is a preview in JPEG. Looks like that. Rather nice. I would use that to showcase a poster or something. So if I was going to do a demonstration of Affinity Photo on the iPad, I'd put the Affinity Photo thing on that iPad and would use that iPad as maybe the poster. So you also get the README, which is all about the licensing and what you can and can't do and how to use it. And then you've got the PSD file. So I am going to open that with Affinity Photo. In Photoshop, it's going to be a smart object. In Affinity Photo, it's not, but we mustn't panic about that. Okay, so first off, we can turn the branding off if you want to turn the branding off, which you would have as you were using it. Then you've got you've got the pencil and the background. So if you wanted it on transparent background, you can do that as well. You've got the pencil if you don't want the pencil. So even the pencil can be toggled off. You have the shadow that can be toggled off, but I'm going to leave that on. And then you've got the resources. When I open that up, you have effects that are optional, which are actually like a shadow. Then you've got the mock-up. And within there, you have the actual pattern that is in it. Now, I took a screenshot earlier. Would that I could see it, because now we've got all kinds of things open. So let me get rid of all of these. Oh, what are you? And what are you? Somewhere in here. There it is. Right. In here, I have got a mock-up. It's not in that one. It is in my data, and there it is. I know there's 123 updates, but look, it was 3 minutes past 4. I wasn't doing them at that point. It's my last iPad, that. It's the last man standing. It's the oldest one. I think it's 2014. That was the one. That was the last one that Mum was here for, and there was a saga with it. I ended up going up a one-way street the wrong way. Don't ask. It's a long story. So I've got that, and all I'm going to do is drag and drop it. And that didn't work too well, did it? Come on, what are you doing now? I might have, well, I can't really, can I? I was going to say I would reboot, but that wouldn't work too well either. Right, all I've done is drag and drop a JPEG on the thing and try and get it in the right place. You can see it twanging. It's sitting above the squares, but you can also half see the squares. All I'm going to do with this is get it broadly in the right space and broadly the right size. I am going to need, for this to look right, I'm going to need to make sure that it's not too big. So if I look at the top here, it's too big over the top of that. So I'm moving it in so it's not. That should be about right, or it'll do. It doesn't have to be perfect for what I'm doing as a demo. I'm just showing you, you do not need with this a smart object. We can do it as is. Right, that's okay. That doesn't look too bad. In fact, possibly a little bit lower. I'll make it just a little bit lower. In essence, what I'm trying to show you is this bit here at the corner. It doesn't look great. It's square and the corners on iPads are now round. I don't think I've ever really got used to that. Okay, so what I want to see is that I get a rounded corner but retain the rest of it with no smart object. And that's actually pretty simple in here because they have given you a mask. So this mask down here. I'm going to copy that mask and I'm going to go to the layer that's got the actual content and paste it and then drag it underneath and indent it. And then the contents of this layer, which is the interface of the iPad, is masked by what is below it. And when I go in there, I have a lovely rounded corner. And it works perfectly. No smart object required. And these are completely free. And they would look amazing with your iPads in them. So there is an iPad, there is a laptop. What's the other one, Mike? Can't remember.
iPad Pro, 27-inch iMac and 15-inch MacBook Pro.
There you go. And they are all beautiful and white. So I would use these in posters for stuff that I was doing because it would focus people on the content rather than, oh, there's a shiny iMac. It's just a suggestion of an iMac. It's a ghosted iPad. And I think they look really nice. So totally free, those. Right. I think we're heading back into you now, aren't we? Oh, yes. Mike's going football crazy, part 2.
I need to press record first.
You'll remember this from last week. So is it more advanced, Mike?
It's different.
It's different. You heard it here first. It's different. Right, so let me know when you're ready. There's Mike. Let me know that it's working. Wiggle your mouse or something. Is that working? Oh, it's working. Tell me when you're ready.
Right, I'm ready.
Whee! Over to Mike.
Right, I thought what I'd do is do another football spreadsheet. Another football spreadsheet, yes, as if last week wasn't enough. So
never have too much football.
No, that's very true. So what I've decided to focus on today is one season. 1998-99 season. when United won the treble. And this is just the league fixtures. So what I've done is I've imported the data in using good old Power Query data from web. So I found a website that had all the data in, but I wanted to focus particularly on in this report on scorers and times and things like that. So I was actually looking for data that included the goal scorers for each match. I've just taken the league here rather than the other competitions, and the scorers and the timings. So this is the raw data, and in this sheet here, the after sheet, this is what the data looks like after I've taken it through Power Query. I thought I would show you how I did it, but then I thought I've actually done Power Query to death over the last few weeks with different scenarios. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to get the date, which was already there, the opponents, the venue. I've split the score into two separate columns, for and against, and then I've added this extra column for result, and that's going to be won, lost or drawn, but I've not generated that through Power Query. I'm going to generate that through Excel. But what I did do with Power Query is I've separated out the goal times. So in this particular season, there was one match where United scored 8 goals. So that's why it's got 8 separate columns. And the maximum number of goals scored by one of their opponents was 3. So these columns, the number of columns would change each season. It depends on how many goals have been scored. But I wanted to strip out the names of the goal scorers, but I wanted to show the time of each goal in a separate column. So that's what I've done there. And as I said, the reason for that is because I want to focus on things like timings of goals. So what you would do with Power Query in terms of what actions you take, what steps you perform, will depend on what you're trying to get as the end result. As I always say, start with the end in mind. So if you know that you're wanting to report on timings of goals, then that would have the focus of what you do with Power Query. Okay, but I've generated the raw data, although having said that, I do want to do a little bit of other stuff on here before going on and showing you the stats. So as I said, I've got this column here called result. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a formula, which I'll then copy all the way down column F, which will end up with each of those cells displaying either W, D or L, as in won, lost or drawn. And it's going to be a simple if statement. So equals if, open brackets, if D2 is equal to E2, then I want it to display in there a D for draw. And that goes in quotes because it's text, comma. If that is not true, then I want to go on and do another if. So if D2 is greater than E2, then if that is true, I want it to show a W. Because if that was the case, if the goals for was greater than the goals against, then United have won. Because we're looking at it from United's point of view here. If neither of those is true, then I want it to show L for loss. I'll need 2 closing brackets because there's 2 opening brackets because there's 2 ifs. Press enter. And not only do I not have to copy it down column F, it copies it down for me because this has been defined as a table. How do we know it's a table? Because when I click anywhere in that data, we've got the table tab. And you'll notice that I've called the table TBL stats. It was originally called table 1, but as I've said in previous sessions, it's always a good idea to give the table a meaningful name. Okay, so that's the first thing, and I've done that because I'm going to use that data a little bit later on. In fact, I'm going to use it in a minute. So if I go to the stats sheet, what I want to do is generate some stats here to show how many games were played, how many were won, drawn, lost, goals scored, goals against, and points. So to calculate the number of goals scored, I basically, the number of games played, I basically want to count the number of rows in the table called TBL stats. To do that, I'll use the rows function. So equals rows, TBL stats. Simple as that. Count the number of rows in that table. The next one I want to count the number of games that were won. So to do that, I'll use COUNTIF, because COUNTIF counts the number of times a particular word or letter or number appears in a range of cells. So I'll be referencing the result column, the one that I've just created. So if I go to here and put equals COUNTIF, open brackets. Now what I could do is I could specify the range as being column F, so F2 to F, whatever it is, F38 I think it is, but as I highlight F2 to F38 and then one more, it changes it to show TBL stats result, because if you select all the data in a particular column, you can reference it by the column name and the table name. It's up to you whether you do F2 to F38 or F39 in this case, or reference it with table name, column name. If you're going to reference it with table name, column name, you can also type it in. So equals COUNTIF, open brackets, TBL stats, open square brackets, and then it was the, which column was it? It was the result column. Okay, so that is the range I want it to look at, and the criteria is the letter W, which I can actually pick up from that cell there. So I've told it to count the number of times W appears in the results column of that table, and that's why I deliberately put W, L and D in that column rather than won, lost and drew, because I knew that I could then reference those cells there. Now at this point you're probably thinking, okay, the easiest thing to do is to copy that formula across to there and there, because it should then pick up C1 and D1 and keep referring to that column. But it doesn't work like that. If I drag across, as you would do to copy the contents of B over to C and D, what it's done is, yes, it's referenced C1 and D1, so that bit's okay, but it's actually referenced MU goal time 1 and MU goal time 2, which are the next two columns in the table. Now you might think, well, in that case, all I need to do is go and make that absolute, and that will then keep the reference to that fixed. But you can't use an absolute in a column name, a table name, column name. It doesn't work. If you type a $sign in, you get an error, and F4 would do nothing. Now there is a way around it, but I think the easiest way to do it is to just do a standard copy and paste, just Control-C, Control-V. So just be aware of that. If you ever try and do that, use the drag and drop shortcut to copy and paste. If the formulas refer to a column name within a table, then it's automatically relative, and you can't make it absolute. It's not a bug, it's just the way it works. But now we've got the correct formulas. So we've got count the number of times W appears in that column, count the number of times D appears in that column, count the number of times L appears in that column. Then I want to calculate the number of goals that were scored. So that is a simple case of adding up all the numbers in the for column. So I can do that by putting equals sum TBL stats square brackets 4 close square brackets. Oops, close. Come on, where's my mouse pointer? I was going to say I've got mouse pointer trouble. Yeah, it's sent it across the room, hasn't it?
Sorry about that. Mine's possessed.
Yeah.
Normally I have 2. So I fought with it manfully this week, and I figured out exactly where it needed to be to only have 1, and now I've got none.
Oh, and then there was none.
I had a legal case like that once, but that's not for discussing now.
And when she got there, the mouse pointer was bare.
Indeed.
Okay. I then also want to calculate the number of goals against, so I can do that virtually the same way. Equals sum. And I want to add up all the numbers in the column called, I think it's called against. AGST, I think I called it, just to have an abbreviation. But again, it's in the table called TBL stats, and the column is AGST. And then I want to calculate how many points we got for that season in the league, and there are 3 points for a win and 1 for a draw. So that would be the number of wins multiplied by 3 plus the number of draws. So 79, which isn't actually a great deal to win the league. So the other teams must have been very poor that season. Okay, so that's my summary of the season, of the league season. Let's just save that. But there's more that I want to do. One of the things that I want to do now is I want to show the percentage of goals scored broken down by home and away matches. And I also want to show the percentage of wins broken down by home and away matches. Now, I got the idea from this earlier in the week because there was something on the BBC that said home advantage this season with no crowds has pretty much been eliminated.
Oh, I don't agree with that. I think you know where you are in the dressing room and all of that.
Well, yeah, there's that. But they actually looked at the stats and they said that, certain teams performed better away than they did at home. So they were looking at it from that point of view. But yeah, I mean, from a sort of mental point of view, I guess things like, where
maybe
you are.
they want some time away from home, lockdown and all that.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought I'd use that idea. I wouldn't go into as much depth, but I'd use that idea for these stats here. So a number of ways I could do this, but I've settled on doing it as a pivot table because it's probably the simplest way to do it. So I'll go into my raw data and create a pivot table, stick the pivot table onto the stats sheet, and I'll stick it over in I1. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag a venue into rows, and that will give me the home and away. And into the values section, I'm going to drag 4 because I'm doing this stats on the number of goals scored. So it's showing me the number of goals scored by United in away games, the number of goals scored by United in home games. I'm not going to show the total. So I'm going to go over to design grand totals and turn those off because we've got the total over here, so we don't need to see it on there. Just change the headings. So that can be venue, and that can be goals scored. But I want to show those as a percentage. So if I right click on one of those, doesn't matter which one of those numbers, show values as percentage of grand total. And let's round them up as well to no decimal places. So in that season, we scored 56% of our goals at Old Trafford, and 44% of our goals were scored at other grounds. Useful statistic. There was the Stretford end sucking the ball into the back of the net, as we used to say. The other stat that I wanted to generate, as I said, was number of wins broken down by home and away. So again, a couple of ways you could have done that. Could have done that with formulas, but I'm going to do it with another pivot table. So back to my data, insert pivot table, choose where I want the pivot table to go. I'll stick it over in column M, I think, in here. And again, for this one, I will set venue to be rows. For the values, I can actually use any column because I want to do a count. And if you're going to do a count, you can use any column where it's got data. So let's just drag opponents in. You see how it defaults to count. Okay. Now, actually, no, I don't want opponent, because that's giving me 19 and 19. What I want to see the number of wins. So yeah, actually I can do any column here. So let's just drag opponent in there. It'll give me 19 and 19. But if I then drag in result into filters, and then set that to W, because I'm only interested in the games that United won, that will then show me that there were 8 wins away and 14 wins at home. So I'll do a similar tidy up here. I don't want to show the total, so I'll hide the total. I'll change that heading to venue, and I'll change that one to say wins. I'll just put wins, but change that to show percentage. So right click, show values as % of grand total, and then just format those to lose the decimal places. So that's showing us that 64% of our games are wins. 64% of the games that we won were at Old Trafford, and 36% of the games that we won were away. So again, Fortress Old Trafford. Well, it was in 1999. Not anymore, it isn't.
I love when you're taking the data from.
Yeah, this is real data. Well, I was originally going to do the Fergie years, but it just got too much to actually pull in 26 years worth of data. Which I could have.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, maybe I will do that. But you know, it's just a repetition of data from web 26 times, and it's a case of finding the right data as well. I mean, there's a load of websites out there that you can get this data from. One of the ones I used to use is stretfordend.co.uk, but when you go there, it says this site is built in Flash.
Oh dear.
We are currently having it rebuilt in HTML5. Anyway, the reason that I broke down all of these, let's go to the before. The reason I broke down all of these two columns into individual columns is because I knew that one of the things I wanted to focus on in this report, as well as goals scored and wins, was the frequency of goals scored within certain periods of the game. Because I'm sure many of you have heard of Fergie time. And what Fergie time is, if you haven't heard of Fergie time, is that United scored a lot of goals in the last few minutes of a match. And it often was actually after the 90th minute. And it was said that the referee would keep playing until United scored. But that wasn't quite true, and I think the stats are there to back that up. It was a bit of a fallacy. So what I've done is I've broken it down into 15-minute periods. So 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 and 90. In column A, those are just headings. So those aren't actually anything to do with the table. That's just a set of headings so that we know that this refers to goals scored between minute 1 and minute 15. This refers to goals scored between minutes 16 and 30. And this one here refers to Fergie time. In fact, shall I change that to say Fergie time instead of 90 plus? Just make that a little bit wider. So, how do I count how many times in that block there that I've highlighted? How do I count how many times the number was between 0 and 15 and 15 and 30 and more than 90? Because there's one that's more than 90, there's another, and there's another somewhere. Do you remember that game on the 6th of February 1999? I'm sure we would have been at Old Trafford.
Sure we would.
Yeah, Ollie came on and scored 4 goals in about 15 minutes. So there we go. Yeah, there was 4 occurrences of goals being scored in 90 minutes plus. Anyway, how did I do it? Well, if I go to C7, I'm going to use the frequency function, equals frequency. And what equals frequency does, it's like a histogram. It will tell you how many times a number appears within a given range. So equals frequency. The data array is the data you want it to look at, which is this data here. And what it's actually done, if you look at the formula, because I highlighted the data and the data's within a table, it's saying look at the data in the table called TBL stats going from the column called MU goal 1 to the column called MU goal 8. I could have used the actual range, which is G2 through to N39, but it actually makes no difference. So that's the first parameter. And the second parameter is that range there. So I will close that, press enter. And what we've got is we've got one of those new dynamic array functions that I talked about a while back, because you can see as you go through these cells here, they're grayed out. The formula itself is grayed out. The formula just goes in that cell and automatically gets copied down. So it's telling us that we've scored 7 goals in the first 15 minutes of the match. We've scored 10 goals between minutes 16 and 30. And we've only scored 4 goals in Fergie time. So, if I did 4 as a percentage of total goals scored, we can see that, hang on, I want to make that percent, don't I? It's 5%, which proves that Fergie time is a mere fallacy. And with that, I will wrap up.
Oh, no,
You don't want me to wrap up. Okay.
No, I've got something here that's totally amazing.
Have you?
Right, Fergie time. Right, we know about Fergie time from the season 1992 to 1993, don't we?
Yes.
Because there was a certain match against Sheffield Wednesday. What was the score?
Was it 3-2 or was it 2-1? It was 2-1.
I've got it down as 2-1 here.
It was 2-1.
The celebration was totally amazing. And the thing was, I'm going to give you a link to a video on YouTube. This actually plays into something I was doing this week. Oh, how all the planets are aligning. I've just tried to find it because there was a heck of a celebration. Let's just say there was a heck of a celebration when this goal went in. So I'm going to give you a link, and you can all go and have a look at the link. I'm going to do a timed link. So it says copy the link at the current time. And I'm going to put that into the chat. So let me know when you've all gone to have a look at that goal. So that goal happens, and then there's a heck of a celebration. So go have a look at that. There is a good reason you all need to go and have a look at this. Weren't we losing 1-0?
We were losing 1-0.
And we got an equaliser. And then Steve Bruce, who scored once every Preston Guild, literally, it's like once in 5 years. You can see that Alex Ferguson and the assistant manager run onto the pitch on their hands and knees. The physio runs up with them. And then they head back to their seats while we watch a replay of the goal. Let's have a quick replay of the goal. Right, they're doing a replay of the goal now. And Mike and I, when we saw that evening, because we were at that match, when they rush past us, when they go down the stairs, we are stood there. So if you keep watching until the very end of the game, all right, where it says Manchester United 2, Sheffield Wednesday 1, you see Alex Ferguson coming down the stairs. You actually see him stood there, his arms in the air, absolutely ecstatic. So you might have to pause it at that stage. If you pause it just right at that point, I'm stood right behind him. What's even better? Look, there I am.
Yes.
What's even better with this video? Go click the link. Have you got it?
I've got it.
Take it, right. Refresh the page, but press stop straight away. Now, what's interesting with that is that you are not seeing the thumbnail, are you?
No.
I'm on the thumbnail.
Oh.
I'm famous. That's me in the pink jumper. No, I don't know how that happened either. But that's me. I'm there.
Shall I share my screen?
Just in case, yes, because you're looking at Mike while you're doing this. I'll tell you what, I'll share my screen. Oh, there you go. You bring it on, Mike.
Right.
You're going to need to make that a bit big. In fact, you can't play the entire video, Mike. You're going to have to just stop it. Or we're going to get a copyright strike. There. I think that's it.
Yeah, it's about there, isn't it?
Oh, just switch to mine for crying out loud. Right, here you go. There we go. That's me in the pink. I look so happy on that. That's me in the pink.
Are you sharing your screen again?
I am.
Right.
I am. So, if I do a refresh on this, I've got something installed that stops it playing. So if I refresh it, there's the thumbnail and there's me. Good grief. Black patches. No, I'm in the pink. I am in the pink on the right-hand side of what you're looking at now. There's Alex Ferguson and Brian Kidd, who was the assistant manager, and that's me just behind him, cheering merrily away. That's amazing. I did not know I was on a YouTube thumbnail. Who knew? Who knew? Here I am, incognito mode. Somebody's put me on a thumbnail. No, we can't do that. We need to come into here, don't we? And play with this. So let's head into that. Why are we not doing that? That's what we're doing. Okay. Right. We're going into Notion tips and tricks. Now we've done football. And there I am in all my little glory. Oh, how amazing. Right. I need to get that so I can get back to where we were. Because I had the chat on my iPad and then you disappeared because I went off looking for myself. There you go. So no, it was April that, and I don't know why I had a jumper on. I know why I had a pink jumper on. It's all come back to me because I would not have bought a pink jumper, would I?
No.
No. My gran knitted it for me. That was it. So that was why I did it. Oh, yes, famous, exactly. One frame of fame. Oh, imagine finding that tonight. We didn't know we were even on the TV until we got home that night. And we watched Match of the Day. And Mike was like, look, that's us. And we were delirious. Oh, honestly, we were delirious. If that was the 92 to 93 season, that was the first time we won the league in 26 years, wasn't it?
It was.
So you can imagine how happy we were. Anyway, to get back to what we were doing, which is Notion tips and tricks. Now you've all spotted me in the crowd. That's how close we sit, you see. Well, actually, that's how close they sit to us. Never mind the other way around. Right, so what I've done is I have pulled together a whole range of little bits of Notion that we've not really mentioned because it's like not a big thing. But taken together, it kind of puts the polish on Notion. So let's head off and have a look at that. Mouse pointer. Oh, there you are. Good grief. Right, okay. That's not really where I wanted to be, is it? Where do I want to be? What's the first thing I'm showing? Oh, I know what it is. So no, I definitely don't want that. I want the other one. Oh, that'll bring that one back on again. That. Right, I was this one. Right, this is the first thing I'm going to show you, which is a table of contents. And this is the review of the year from 2019. This is a nightmare to put together. It is a nightmare. Right, what we've got in here is every month with stories, not for every day, but certain days within the month. And then when we get to the end of it, we then go to February. This is one of the reasons I've moved this to Craft, because Craft enables me to segment it much better. But what I could do with it in Notion, and what I did do with it in Notion, because this is just too much, you know, I'm just like, no, there's too much text. I built an index for it. So you can open up the index and you can see in more an indented way that these belong to January and these belong to February. And this automatically generates itself. More than that, it automatically keeps itself updated as well. And it's really simple to create. So I will do another one underneath this. So we'll put in here, we will have a demo index. I'll show you just how easy it is to create. In essence, all you actually need to do, you've got your slash menu, and in your slash menu, you have, we have a table of contents. So somewhere in here, we should have, or is it, there we go, table of contents. You can probably put talk. But what it is an advanced block. It's a block that's pre-programmed. And as I say, it will keep it up to date. What it's going to do is show you an outline of the page. But just like in Word, how is it going to do that? And you need to use styles for Notion to understand the structure of your page. So if I just say insert table of contents in there, boom, it instantly puts in a table of contents. Now, why has it got at the top of it the style guide and the review of the year thing? Well, the style guide is over here. And this is actually a H2, I think. Or is it a 1? Could be a 1. That could be a H1. And then that's a H1, which is the title, which is down here, just before January. So there it is, what it is, the review of the year, which is a H1. This is a H2, and this is a H3. And it uses that structure to build the table of contents. Now, that's what it looks like when you've actually done it. I mean, it's really simple. As long as you've styled the document correctly, you can't really go wrong with that. But let's take a blank page in our demo database, this one over here, and start from scratch. So we'll add a page. We will call this our talk page. We will lose that. So this page has got no content at the moment. My favourite way of dealing with it is making it full width and then put in your table of contents. So first off, I'm just going to put the word text, and there is a reason for that. Then I'll put in table of contents. And at the moment, there's nothing there, and it's actually telling you to add some headings to create the table of contents. I actually want my table of contents over on that side with my content in the left-hand side. Right, so I'm just going to make this so it's really simple to understand. That's going to be my heading 1, and that's going to be my heading 2, and then I'm going to have a heading 3. And then I want some text. So it's still not formatted it at the moment because I haven't actually formatted this as H1 or whatever. So if I go in there and I put /1 and then press enter, it's actually giving me a heading 1 on the wrong side, to be honest. So another way of doing that is at the beginning, if I put a slash, a pound sign, a hash sign, it will automatically make that a heading 1. And as soon as I do that, my heading 1 appears in my table of contents over on the right. Same principle here. Go back, put in 2 hashes and a space, and it makes that a heading 2. 3 hashes and a space, hang on, hashes, and that makes a heading 3. And what's happening over here in my index is it's actually building it up. My table of contents has got content, but my text is just text. Even if it's bullet points or whatever else it is, that does not appear in the table of contents because it's looking for a H1, a 2 and a 3. So for my review of the year, if that text said review of the year, as soon as I do that, my table of contents updates over here. So instead of saying heading 1, it now says review of the year. And it will carry on doing that if I come down here, and that would be January. That updates, and then I come down here and I would put in like a date, which used to be years ago. You could guarantee around the 6th you'd have Macworld, which would be amazing, but we don't anymore. And that's what we've got over here. So it replicates that. And then as I add in, so if they're all the notes for that day, and then let's say on the 31st of January, new iPads, that would have been nice, but didn't happen. As long as I make that a level 3, go on, get this right yet. I'm wrong key, that's why. 1, 2, 3. As long as we make that a heading 3, it automatically populates over here. And that is how we created all of this. It built up over time. It does help to navigate it. If you're looking for May, it's easier to find May there, and then clicking it will actually take you down to May. However, notice that there's something missing. When we do this in Craft, there's a back button, and there isn't a back button to take us to the top. It's easy enough to quickly scroll to the top like that, but there isn't actually a back button. But you can navigate to the individual stories. Why were we doomed? Oh, iPhone sales problem. And you can then move back to the thing and then find the next one that you want to look at. So if I wanted to see like how were we doing for stories in October. October's usually a big year for Apple. So there you go. And there's all the stories that we talked about there. So that's where we really use it. Do you use it anywhere else, Mike? I tend not to. My pages, I tend to organise them in other ways. Do you? He's pondering now whether he's ever used it at all. Because it's hidden in here. I leave it hidden because, sometimes you just want to be straight into it. But an index can be put inside a toggle, which is useful. We've got our resources over here, which are also in a toggle. So we are straight into the review of the year. But that is a very, very good use for it. Oh, look, Bravo Sierra and the Science of the Bin collection. That was a good show, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah, it was how we sorted our bin collection onto Google Calendar. And trust me, it was like nuclear physics. But we did it in the end. So no problem there at all. So that's the first thing. That is a table of contents. And when it is particularly useful, the longer the page, the more useful. Obviously, I could have structured that differently. And you might say, well, why didn't you just put 12 pages in here? So you could click and go to January and then come back and click and go to February. Would have loved to. But what you see there, everything from there all the way down to the bottom, and the last time I tried this, it took about 30-40 seconds, even to just scroll down it. Trust me, it took forever. All of that I'm highlighting is the blog post that goes with it. And all I want to actually do with it is copy it and paste it. I do not want to have to go into 12 pages and copy each one individually. Just look how long it's taking to copy as it is. And I can't do a Command and A because I don't want the stuff at the top. So I could maybe jiggle it around, but it just takes too long. And I don't want to be thinking, oh, there was that story about X. Oh dear. Was it January? Was it February? Was it March? Can't remember. So it's all on one page for a good reason, but in terms of navigating it, the index then became indispensable. Obviously, we don't have to worry about that anymore with Craft, because when you do an export from Craft, in fact, we built this up, didn't we, in a demo? I'm pretty sure we built this up in a demo. We did the first 6 months of 2019, if I'm right. So let's go back and have a look at that. Did I leave it here? And if I did, where did I put it? Oh, shall we see if the find works? Right, that would be a review of the year. And was it 2019? I think I've only got 2. Unless we did it in the shared area, which would have been a good place to put it, wouldn't it? Let's have a look if it's in there. It is. So this is what we did with that data. And I did this live with you. So now I can have... Why are you doing that? Go away. This has each one separate. I don't really need an index for that because that's it. January sorted. That is the whole of January. But when you come to share it, so when you come to do your markdown export, in fact, I wouldn't. I'd just take it to Ulysses. But let's say I want to do a markdown export. That I can just copy and paste that and put it into WordPress and I'm done. So that's why it works brilliantly in Craft. Craft thinks, right, okay, this is the main page, but I'm going to include everything from the subpages, and that's exactly what it does. So that's why we took it out of Notion. But in Notion, the best thing we can do, going to do that, is to put an index on it, and then you can navigate via the index. Okay, that was the first thing. That was the first tip and trick. Right, another thing, let's get that out of the way, and we'll use this one, is just whenever I'm typing and I think, oh, that should have been a title. So let's say that Macworld and new iPads, yes, they're a title, they're a H3, but I'd also like them to be red. If you use the slash key and you just type the word red and press enter, it will convert it without you having to select it and then go find something. Now, what annoys me is, let's say I want these here. I want that one green and I want that one blue and I'll have that one red. I happen to know that there is a shortcut key. The shortcut key will apply the last colour you applied or black. How does it make a difference? Well, there's no point. The last colour I applied was red. So if I move down to red and I use this magic shortcut key, so let's select it and apply the magic shortcut key, which is Command, Shift and H, it will apply the last colour. But then I've got to go and apply green. So I have to make a selection of that, and then I have to squint at this and think, oh, it's under the A. And that's where you've got your last used, Command, Shift and H, and I want this one green. And then I need to click on that one, and I want that one to be blue. So I'm back into it and I'm doing this. But I want that header to be red. And now I can't use the shortcut key because if I do, it's going to make it blue. I wish there was a shortcut key or a series of shortcut keys where I could apply the colour that I want. So rather than having to remember all of that lot, if you just remember at the end of it, you think, oh, I didn't want it to be blue. So let's say you are at that point where it's black. And you think, oh, I wanted that red, didn't I? It's far easier to just type the colour and then move on than it is to piddle around trying to find the option in the interface to do that. It also means that it kind of obviates the need to have that shortcut key, because I could think, what was the last colour I used? And while I'm thinking about it, I could have made it whatever colour I wanted. So I now don't bother using that shortcut key. I just use the / and then type a colour. That's not all that you can do with that. So if I put some text in this one here, if I could type, I'm reliving that match now, Mike. Oh, what a day that was. Right, so I've got my stuff in here, and then I think, I wanted that to be a bullet. You can still use this. You can start to type it and then just press enter and you get a bulleted list. Obviously, I need to be on the other side of that when I actually do that for that to work, but you get the idea. So you can do that. So the slash menu is your friend, irrespective of what it is you're actually doing. So you can make things a to-do list just by putting the slash and then that. Alternatively, you could, hang on, wrong brackets. You could use the 2 square brackets to do that. So it's a matter of working out what you can and can't do with that slash key that will save you time. So some things I wouldn't bother with, others like the colours, absolute godsend, trust me. Right, so we've done the slash colours. Right, another one that's quite useful. So I'm pretty sure in here, didn't we build something? Wasn't it this one with our yoga? Oh no, that was a different one. We did our yoga foundations here, didn't we? We had our yoga somewhere in here, I swear we did. Any of these will do, to be honest. But something pretty is quite nice. Something pretty. So if we turn that into something with graphics. Did I put it in here? Progress bars. No, I didn't. I thought we had it up here. It must be in our LMS. Oh, we did. We had all sorts in here, didn't we? Right. Systems thinking and all kinds of stuff. Articles, Dev and Think. Which one? That one would have had one. There we go. No, it didn't. That one did not have it in. Oh, crying out loud. Where are we at? Tell me that had everything in. No, it didn't. Some of these are articles. Did we put that one in? No, that was just text. Oh, that's not good, is it? I definitely had one of these. However, never mind. We've got this here. So this is something that we downloaded. And what we've got in here, this is something that once you've created it, so it works great with tutorial type stuffs, courses, or I do it with my journal. Anything that's got this kind of view to it. So I think these two have both got this kind of view to it, but there is a difference here between these just graphics. That's just graphics. That's not a database. I'm talking about where there's a database. So once we've decided that our course is complete, we've put all of this together and you've got your information in there. Maybe you've made your own notes inside it. The last thing you want to do is change it. And at the bottom here, you always have the new option. Let's load the 5 in as well. Right, you always have this new option, which means you could actually add another one in, but you don't particularly want to. So you have two ways in here to stop that. If we go into the properties of this, there is an option to use a database lock. And database locks are incredibly useful. I put a database lock on that. You can still work with this database. So you go into it, there it is. You can put a tick that you've learnt that. So you can still work with it. But when you go down to the bottom, there shouldn't be a new on there. Crying out loud. That is the essence of locking the thing. Oh, you're playing with my mind today, aren't you? The other way that I use it, so not a database lock, but it does tell you that that database is locked. Part of the thing of doing that is that you don't then have that new thing showing. So I don't know why it's playing with my mind today. But a database lock means that nobody else is going to inadvertently delete something, nor you either, which I have actually done, and then you need to roll it back. But you can lock at database level. There is another way to lock, and that is if I had a page and we put here our dashboard. Right, and I've done this to Mike, it plays with his mind, bless him. I'm going to create a dashboard and I want on my dashboard the important things. So I want a link to my LMS system. I want a link to Notion 2021. So in essence, I build up a dashboard and I can put as many links in there as I like. So what else should we link to? How about the wiki that we built as well? And then we could do the 30-day yoga. So let's do the 30 days. It locks it only on this page, Paul. It's just like a visual thing, because maybe when I finish this, you'll see why it's particularly useful. If you're building a dashboard, you don't want people deleting stuff, particularly if it's not pulling it in from elsewhere. It's actually on this page. So a lock is a local device to say, you know, on that page, I don't want it locked, but on this page, I want it locked. So I've put in the wiki and I've got one yoga thing, but I've also got the yoga foundations. So I'm going to build in the yoga foundations. So let's say with this that what I actually want to do is start building a proper dashboard. So my yoga stuff is on the right. Then I need to move that up and I need to move that up. And I've got myself a little bit of a dashboard. But I've also got this type / for all the commands, and there's nothing to stop somebody coming in and in a hurry doing that. And then they've moved something. It's like, what happened there? Now, with a dashboard as simple as this, maybe it wouldn't be too arduous. But you've seen the MacBites dashboard. You've seen the Brooklands dashboard. So let's see if I can quickly get the Brooklands dashboard. Let's get to Notion. The Brooklands one has got, acres of stuff on it. But there again, you are running an entire radio station. So that's what we've got. I'll take that down a bit so we can see everything on the one page. Right. I don't want any changes made to that. I don't want some slip up where this is moved to somewhere else. So what we do is we go into the 3 dots at the top and you can lock the page. That does not mean that you can't use the page. So if we look at what happened last week, there's what was played last week. We can go into it and we can use it. No problem at all. But it's actually brilliant because it's taken away the ability to add new records and generally fiddle with them. Okay, if I toggle that lock off, you'll see that each table then becomes editable in terms of there's a plus at the bottom of every one. So let me take that off. You've got the new, you've got the new. It really does, because this is not where I would do that kind of stuff. It really does interfere with the look of the page. And this bit where I can relock from here is actually new. That was added about 3 months ago. Before that, you had to go into here and you had to unlock the page. Now, the difference between the two, they are doing two different things here, is if I go in and I lock it, so I lock the page, straight away I'm told at the top that this is locked. Now, if you come into a page and you're like, why can't I move that? Look at the top and see if it's locked. I can't tell you the number of times I forget. I'm like, why isn't that moving? Oh, I locked it. The difference between the two is if I go over here to unlock it, the lock disappears from this part here. People wanted a faster way when a page is locked to quickly unlock it, do something, and relock it. So it's doing the same thing, it's just faster to do it from there if you intend to relock the page. So what that looks like in here, where this hasn't happened yet, you know, I've got this type to add extra content to it. I go into the ... and I have the ability to lock the page. And now I can use these links, but you'll notice the 6 dot button where I drag it and move it isn't there. So I can now just use this as a dashboard as intended. I can click the unlock relock. So if we add another one over here, let's add the extra. So I'd forgotten to do that. I can quickly then relock it and we're back where we were, and now I'm not making any changes to it. So once you've designed a dashboard, if you don't intend to use that dashboard to add content, so like the Brooklands one, I don't particularly do that. If you're wondering how it happens then, if I'm not doing that, where have you disappeared to? Right, let's take you up there. Right, if you're wondering how I do that, you'll see that underneath most of them, I have Brooklands full show management, I have new show management, I have full schedule management, and under here, I don't fiddle with that. It does it. So I just have a link to the spreadsheet. But that's enough. You know, if I want to add or see an overview of all of the shows, I mean, this is saying week 2, isn't it? Good grief. We're up to what we got playing tomorrow. There we go. That's what's playing tomorrow. Oh, we got the 2-hour ABBA special. Eurovision, 47 years since they won the Eurovision. I can do 99% of what I need to do in this view. If I need anything else, I will go to a dedicated view. This is a dashboard. This is strictly a dashboard and it's an overview. And having it locked, I think, is a good idea. Don't know what you think. He's keen on that now.
Yeah.
So that's locking at table level or locking at page level, and is something I would recommend that you do, even if you intend to use it. Okay, this one might be a bit weird. I will put this in the chat as well, but it's something that's handy. Don't know if you use Twitter or whatever, but I'm not logged in that one. So let me log myself in. I think I'm logged into Twitter in here. I don't go to Twitter that much myself, but if you go to Twitter and you go to Notion status, so not Notion, Notion status. I'm logged in. Am I logged in? No, I'm not logged in. Never mind. Right. I don't go there that often. Right. This will give you first news of any outages or status updates that you need. So good idea to head off to Notion status. So I will put that in there. So follow them on Twitter or put them on a list. I have a list of like status updates and then just look at that list because I don't want to get distracted by stuff. And do they really think I want to follow Andy Burnham, Greater Manchester Mayor? No, not in this lifetime. There you go. So that's one to think about. Right, shall we have a look back in here? All right, let's go to the dashboard again. Right, one thing that is running in the background all the time in Notion is an automatic versioner is happening. So in here, you should be able to see. Now, we might actually have to use mine because this is a free account, isn't it? So we might need to go to mine. So let's try that. This one's had plenty of changes. So I'll mop that. I will unlock it just in case that impacts it. But what we've got in here is the page history. So as we go into it, we've got a million different versions of page history. And you can just click on these to load them back in. So if we go back over here. Now, once you get to a certain point, which is that point there. So the 3rd of, is that the 3rd of May or the 5th of March? I think that must be the 5th of March. See, they're playing with my mind. That's the wrong date. But you get the ability to roll back for 30 days. Unless you are on the enterprise plan. And if you want to roll back further than that, and you can see it goes back quite a way. I think it's 3 months, some possibly more, that you get on the enterprise plan. You could then roll it back to that stage. But what you can do in here with some of these, so I've no idea what this looked like on the 5th of March, but I can click it and it will show me what that looked like. Pretty similar, to be honest. But if we look at it, we've got we don't have in here past the 13th of March. These would not be up to date, so I definitely do not want to do this. I can see here that the M People, Beautiful South, Paul Beloche, that's misspelt, it's an A. All of those are in the new shows, but they've actually been finished. So they're completely finished and shouldn't be showing in the new shows. So I definitely don't want to roll it back. But if there was a calamity and something's been deleted and you do need to roll it back, then all you need to do is to press the restore version and you can restore that. I'm definitely coming out of that with a cancel and leaving it be. Otherwise, I will lose all the stuff that's been done. So you can see all those things that weren't in there. That's because they're now complete and they're in another table. But you could roll that back if you wanted. Now, something we need to really think about here. That was changing the status of shows. It was changing the ABBA Special and the Paul Beloche, and now it's spelt correctly, back to being new shows. But surely it can't do that when it's just a view of a database. And it's not the core database, is it? Because every one of them has got the arrow. So how on earth would rolling this page back make that happen? That shouldn't happen. This is just a dashboard. That's why you've got to carefully think about your engine room and separating the interaction with your data from the storage of your data. Where are the core tables? For Brooklands 196, where are the core tables? Well, as true to form, this was built as a bit of a punt with maybe this would work, Mike, let me try it. And the master tables are at the bottom of this page, and that is why they would get rolled back. But if they weren't on this page, then they wouldn't. So that's why you have to think very carefully about where you actually want to store that data. I've left them in here and it does say engine room, but it's actually just, leave it alone. Don't touch it. Right? Don't touch it. Because I haven't taken the decision to I have taken the decision to put them somewhere else. I just haven't got round to doing it yet. But that's, when we say, well, can't I just leave them at the bottom of the page? The benefit of doing that is if I wanted to duplicate this to share it with somebody else. So let's say we wanted this kind of thing on MacBites FM. I could just duplicate the page, change a few titles and we're done. And the engine room is at the bottom and the data comes with it. But if the data is somewhere else, then it makes it more difficult to share this as a template. But leaving the data where it is, the master data, where it actually is even more dangerous because somebody could roll it back and they're rolling that back as well. Whereas if it's on a separate page, they're not. So that's something that you need to think about in relation to where your master pages need to actually be. Right, something we briefly talked about. And I don't think in Notion we found much of a use for them. But let's look at this page that we've got here. And this is true of any page that you actually look at. Oh, brilliant, Sigma only just woke up. Oh no, it's all right, you can catch up on catch up. Right, I'm talking about backlinks. Now, backlinks were added because Roam had them. That is the sole reason that backlinks got added to Notion. Oh, Notion's got automatic, Roam's got automatic backlinking. We need automatic backlinking. Roam is not Notion. Notion is not Roam. Roam didn't feel the need to add all of the visual stuff that Notion's got, so it was peer pressure. The users were like, we need backlinks, do we? What for? Well, what this will tell us is the backlinks are automatically generated here, and it says 2 backlinks. So what that means is 2 pages in the Giles Thomas Notion system mention this page. And if we open that up, it will tell us which one. So one is happening in the wiki. So that's meeting notes. So I know we had a meeting on the 1st of a month, I don't know which one, and it was about the Brooklands wiki updates. And it mentioned the fact that we'd done the Brooklands 2.0. The other page that links to this is Mission Control, which that's something I'm working on. It's a new dashboard. And that's all it tells us. So what it does enable you to do is go quickly to either one of these pages. And either one of these pages will have a link to Brooklands. So if we click on the wiki one, this is what we decided to do. And this was the 1st of January. And there is the mention. So I can click it and it will take me here. And that's all a backlink does. So you're thinking to yourself, why are people getting giddy with backlinking then in Roam? Now, Roam's a totally different business. Could I run MacBites with Roam? Yes. Do I want to? You must be kidding. No. It's too text heavy and I'd be backwards and forwards with it. I like the visual and I like the database that comes with Notion. Just for the same reason that, you know, Craft also has backlinks, incidentally. But Craft is different to Notion, different enough for me to pay for both. And both of them are completely different from Roam. But people, you know, get like, Roam's amazing, Roam's got backlinks, and all of a sudden, Notion also has backlinks. That's all it does. They are generated automatically, but they are nowhere near what happens in Roam. So if somebody says, Roam's got backlinks, don't be tempted to fall into the trap and say so's Notion, because they're not the same. All they are in Notion is an automatically generated link, or in this case, on this page, an automatically generated list of pages that link to this page. That's it. Backlinks in Roam do much more than that. That is all a backlink is. What it will enable you to do, which is the one useful thing with it, is if I've navigated to this page from the mission control, which is very limited at the minute, it's very much in alpha, never mind beta, it will enable me to get back to my dashboard quickly. You can see I even jumped from Content Creation 2.0 to 3.0. It was that bad. Those are 2 totally different systems that I'm working on. Same down here, we've got MacBites 2.0 and we've got 3.0 that I'm trying to work on. But all it will do is enable us to quickly get back to there and then quickly go to wherever we want. And the backlink section here will have a link from where you came, as long as you can remember where you came from. And if I know I'm from Mission Control, I can go there. But there will be a whole list of pages that are linked to this page if you choose to navigate that way. Now, do I use them? No, that's why they're folded up. There is an option to have them unfurled, but I don't, because I create the navigation I want down here. So that bit there is the navigation. And I don't particularly ever open the backlinks and choose to use that. Never. Because I am deliberate in the pages that I would want to go to from here. As it happens, the Brooklands inbox is empty. We're that organised, we're up to date. It's amazing. Oh, Jonathan's still awake. This is amazing. How long can I talk? How awake are you feeling, Jonathan? Do let us know. And then I have the resources underneath this. So this is going to link to the Brooklands shows. And these are all the resources that we need for this. So I'm never, ever going to use the backlinks. Your mileage may vary. If you do, they're there. They're automatically generated. You can't stop them happening. All you can do is what I've done, which is fold them up because I'm not interested. But you may find a use for them. I don't know. Right, now where are we up to here? Markdown. I'm assuming by now you are fairly au fait with the Markdown stuff. So let's get... we got a dashboard here, but that was locked, wasn't it? So we'll unlock it. Right, all I mean by Markdown is that it supports Markdown. And Markdown is one of those skills. Some people are like, oh, yeah, I'll adopt that. And I'm quite happy with it. Take to it like a duck to water. Other people are like, it's programming and I don't want to know. It's really simple. You know, if you know 3 or 4 characters, you can pretty much work with Markdown. So if you want a level 1 heading, you need hash space. And that gives you a level 1 heading. And you can then put your heading in, a heading 1. So we've seen this before, where we put in 2 and we get a heading 2. And 3, guess what? We get a heading 3. So first thing to think about, the hash sign. Where does that come from? If you're on Windows, I've no idea. It'll be on your keyboard. If you're on a Mac, it is option 3. Now that's in the UK. Tell me where it is in the US, because it's different in every country. In the US, I think it's actually on the keyboard. You can see it. On the Mac keyboard, you can't. So what you'll see on the key in the UK is a pound sign and the 3. And you have to know to hold down the option to get that key. That's one of the first things I told everybody when I switched to a Mac. And I'm like, I'm in my happy place. The Mac's great. A lot of people switched and then came to me and said, where's the hash key? So I make sure whenever anybody contacts me and says, I've just switched to a Mac, and I send them back like a list of stuff you need to know. And it's like, number 1, the hash key. You will need to know where the hash key is. It's Shift and 3 for you, which is our pound sign. So if I did Shift and 3, I'd get a pound sign that looks like that. But I know in the States, you call that hash symbol a pound, which we don't. So it's on the same key, the 3, but for you it's Shift, for us it's option. So that's that one. But also know that you're writing in Markdown if you put a minus sign and a space. And it converts that to a bulleted list. So bullet list. If you type a 1 and a full stop, that creates a numbered list. And all of these work in any application whatsoever that uses Markdown. I don't actually know what I've got installed at the moment. I've got Ulysses.
Shift and 3 for hash.
I've just said that, Mike.
Right.
Right. Let's make a new one here. Right, we have a sheet. Let's close all of this up. This is Markdown. If we do exactly the same, so hash, heading 1, we get a heading 1. And if we do the same with a heading 2, we get a heading 2. And so forth with a heading 3. Right, if I put in a dash, I get a bullet. It indents it slightly. It doesn't make it a circle, but it does indent it, and that is now an unordered list. And when I do the next one, I get another instance of that. If I come down and I get rid of that, and I put the 1 and the full stop, that indents and turns bold, and this is now a numbered list. How many D's in numbered? And this one actually changes to 2 and 3 and 4. Some of them don't. Depending on the editor you're using, you'll just see 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way down. So it'll be 1 full stop. Doesn't matter. When it comes out of here, it will be numbered correctly. So anything that you learn for Notion, you can repurpose anywhere else. So that happens to be Ulysses. Doesn't matter what the application is. If it supports Markdown, it's pretty much the same Markdown. Okay, so back in here. Right, you can extend that a little bit. So when I put a link in, like the Notion status link, so let me go get the Notion status link. There we go. I always put that in as a resource in here, so it looks like that. What is this thing doing? Why are you playing with my mind? Ah, all right, I see. Okay, let's get rid of that. What we need to do is pull this outside of that. We want the full width. So when I do that to paste into you guys, it looks like that. But there's probably in here, I do that. Let's make sure that goes again. No, we don't want that. Come on, that. Right. What we probably want to see is me talking about Notion status and then saying something else. But I'd like Notion status to be a link. And I've just copied just the text of the link. Instead of worrying about that popover, I can actually just... Why are you not working now? Naughty, naughty. Will it do it on the whole thing? No, it won't. That could be Opera. On mine, if I highlight some text, so let's do that. Obviously, I can go in there and I can paste the link in. Oh, I see. It's not copied correctly. Okie dokie. It didn't like that. Right. I'm going to get that from somewhere else and just copy the link. So all that should be on the clipboard is the Notion link, that link. So that's now correct. And then what I need to do is copy that. Well, not copy it, sorry. Highlight it. And then Command and V. And it will put the link on it and you'll be able to click to it. So if I do that, it's going to open it up. There we go. But it's only putting it on the text. Now, the bad news with that is, if I were to copy that, right, even if I copied just the Notion status bit, so let's copy the Notion status bit, and then paste it in somewhere, it's not got the link. We would lose the link. So sometimes it's better if I do it this way, where I can actually see it, because I want maybe to copy that and paste it into the chat to you guys. So this time, if we go into it, get rid of that, paste. Oh, clipboard's going crazy tonight. Right, I would copy that. Come on, you can do it. There we go. But look at what you're getting with it. You're getting this thing. What on earth is this? What's happening now? Right? And what's happening is that syntax that we're looking at is the markdown for a link. So if I wanted to put a link to my blog, I would need to start with a square bracket. And in my text editor here, it puts the second bracket. Then put my blog URL, which I can do like that quickly. And in the brackets at the end, I then put what that is. So, in fact, this isn't good, is it? Crying out loud. The link goes in there. Oh, good grief. Let me get the link. So in this circumstance, what we've got there is it looks the same. So the text you will see that's in the square brackets and the link that you will click and will take you to is the same. But what if I wanted to, and I do this all the time in Scrivener, I put a dash and then I need to paste a URL and then I need to say what it is. So I have this set up, multi-markdown URL. It puts what's on the clipboard in the brackets, and then in the square brackets I can say Elaine's blog, and that is markdown. Now obviously when I paste it into you guys, we don't want to see this because we'll have the link twice and YouTube will go crazy. So what do we do with that? Because I'm actually using this. I would copy that and I would then want to paste that into you. Well, we've already seen what happens if I do paste that. It's not copying, crying out loud. This is doing my head in today. Right, let's grab that. Let's just copy it, shall we? I don't want to copy the link. I want to copy the whole shebang. That's what I want to copy. Right. So let's take that again. If I paste that in, that's what it will paste in. What I would actually need to paste in is the plain text of it to get rid of that. So understanding Markdown will help you when it comes to stuff like this, that you can instantly look at that and think, yeah, I only need one of these. So if I get rid of that, that's what I would paste into YouTube. So I paste that in as plain text and it loses the link. But that's the most complicated it needs to get. I mean, Markdown, you can do tables and all kinds of stuff. But actually, if you can put a link in and just understand the text you want people to see is in the square brackets and the link is in the round brackets, that's it. That's as complicated as it gets. And that is what Notion supports. Why is that important? Well, when we look at the review of the year that we had, which is in the other window, isn't it? Good grief, where's the review of the year? Which window are we in now? Oh, it'd be this one. Right, it's important because in here, this is all Markdown. And as you're looking at it, so I'm looking for July. There's May, there's June, and there's July. Right, that lot there. This is Markdown. Look at the links. It's text and there's a link behind it. Okay, so I'm going to move down July all the way to August, right? I need to copy that now and take it to where it's going to live, which is in here. So in here, that's going to be July. I will change that. And I think in the sun, we had it that size. I had different colours for this. And I think in the summer, it was like a bright red or something. So something like this. And OK. And in there, I open that up and I just paste the entire thing in. All of the links come in correctly. Every single one. So understanding a little bit about Markdown will help you a lot when you get into Markdown in here. Understand what it's doing in terms of why has that got text, why has that not got text, and all the rest of it. And that is what enables you to make your data portable in terms of taking it from Notion to Craft, to Ulysses, to your blog, anywhere. Just understand a little bit of Markdown. And that, as I say, is as complicated as that gets. Right, let's get rid of that over there. What other little tips and tricks do we have? Don't forget there are multiple clippers. I have the multiple clipper links somewhere. I had them open in, I think that was Chrome. I'm talking multiple things for Chrome here. Do I not have these open? I thought I did.
They're
No.
in here.
They're in there for you, are they? Right, well, I'll show you how to find them. If you look up Chrome extensions, and the only browser that doesn't really support Chrome extensions is Firefox. Pretty much all the others do. Do a search the store and put Notion. And you will get the Notion web clipper, which is the default. That is this one here, the one you are probably more often than not seeing. So what you do with that is you put the title in that you want to save, and then where you want it added. And most of mine go in my personal and professional development. Most of them. But there was the other one. So I'm going to click More Extensions. And you have a range of Notion extensions now that do more than just clip. So this Notion Boost adds features to Notion. Notion X also adds features to Notion. If you use the Evergreen Note system, which is part of Zunka Aaron's How to Take Smart Notes, there is an extension that will enable you to do that as well. There's also this one, which is Save to Notion. And this was the one that I demonstrated. I haven't got a link for that, but maybe Mike can find it.
I've got a link here.
No, not a link for this, Mike, a link to the demo. Let's challenge him. This one enables you to fill forms in and save highlights actually in a web page. So you can highlight it in the web page and then save it into Notion with the highlights. So you're not really limited in Notion anymore. There are lots of extensions that will enable you to do different things. So those two happen to be clippers. But there are others as well. And the one I'm looking for, which did turn up at the bottom, is this one. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to. Which is Tailored Notion.
After hours 92. 92,
there you go. What this enables you to do is add some styling to Notion, which you might not think's important, but you know, when you've seen what Rome can do with CSS and you see how beautiful Craft is, you then begin to think, I wish. So you could even change the look of it. I cannot guarantee with that, if there's a Notion update, that anything would be compatible. I assume they would update it as soon as. And it's going to be less significant if you have Notion in dark view anyway. But if you did want to, there are extensions for all of these. So have a think about those as well, just in case you want to go that way. We've done that. Right, I did do this. So what's the best way of attempting this? Possibly I put it up here. Let's have a look. I'm sure there was a shortish video because most of the videos are quite long. But I'm sure there was one short video. Just not there. Do Catalina boot disc and put that on here. I'm sure there was a boot disc one that was quite short. Let's try and find a short one. And I'll show you what I'm going to try and do with it. No, they're all long. Oh, they need updating. Behind the scenes, we do it totally differently now. That was only like 2 years ago. And come on, short. No, long. Oh, I'm not seeing a short one. That's not good, is it? Why don't I do a search and look for boot disc? That'll solve the problem. There we go. Sierra boot disc, that'll do. Any boot disc will do, doesn't matter. Because what I'm going to do with it is go into it. That's the tutorial. And at the bottom of it, there should be a link to the video. Excellent. Right, let's watch that on YouTube. There we go. Right, so I've got a video. Right, I can take the URL of that video. Pro tip, right click on it and choose copy video URL and you will get the shortest URL possible. Right, so I've got the URL and I'm going to go back into Notion somewhere. Ah, there's Notion. Right. So let's make a new page for this to go on. Right, YouTube video. Okay. And I'm going to paste. And you get an option to paste it as a link that's just text, create a bookmark, or create an embed. That is what it looks like as just text. You choose a bookmark, you get a little bit of a preview when it's finished thinking about it. And if you paste it in as an embed, oh there, finally we've got it. Okay, so paste it in for a third time and choose an embed, then you actually get the video in here. Be aware, if the video disappears from YouTube, the video will disappear from here. It's only putting a link in, it's not actually downloading it and putting the video in. I got burnt like that with some videos that I thought, yeah, I'll watch that, and then you go back and they disappeared. So a better way might be to actually download the video and embed the video in there. But that's for you to think about. But what I'm interested in here is in here, and the thing with this is everything's hidden away, isn't it? Everything is hidden away. But there are 3 dots here. There's also a myriad of other buttons, but there is this 3 dot button. I click on that. Obviously, don't hit the report button. That's bad news. That's bad news. Channels die that way. But you do have the option to open a transcript, which then appears down here. So here's my transcript. The whole thing. It says Helen here. No. Mind you, this was 3-4 years ago, wasn't it? But what I can do in there is grab that. That's why I went for a short video. We don't want a 5-hour epic, do we? Right, hang on. Let's get back down here. Come on. Right, I want this. So I'm going to go... all I'm trying to do is grab this. So all I need is next time, and I'll take it and go up. Right. Like I say, it's not 100% perfect, but you've now got the transcript. All videos, I think, these days have the transcript. You don't need to upload it. It's automatically generated. And then all you need to do is actually paste it in there. And there is everything that was said. You can spend time and tidy that up if you want, in terms of putting the time on the same line as this. But you can leave it like that if you want. Good night, Tony. Early start tomorrow. Oh, no. Oh, no. We're on holiday. Doesn't mean it won't be an early start, mind, because you know the dog and all that. But that enables you to keep some notes about the video with the video inside Notion. And all you've done is actually 3 different ways of pasting it, text only, bookmark, or a video, and then used the YouTube feature of copying the transcript and putting that in. You could probably get the transcript of an after hours, but, you know, why would you? That way madness lies. But there you go. We've covered bulk importing, and I will possibly touch on that again, because I'm going to do a bulk import for mails, but I'm not going to do that tonight. There you go. What did I have for that? Oh, yes. When you're setting up your sidebar over here, you can see I've got all my contents just listed because this is a demo account. But you have the ability to favourite pages. So let's say I'm working with this video at the moment. So we'll put boot disk video. So let's say I'm working on this and I need a quick way to get to it. Now at the moment it's at the bottom, but you know that we can embed pages within pages within pages, and that might not be in the sidebar. So there is an option to favourite a page. And that creates an entirely new area over here that didn't exist before. If you have no favourites, you do not see the favourites area. Right, but once you've got favourites, then you do. It's important in there that you think through your strategy. And the reason for that is on iOS, you have the ability to have Notion widgets. But they're pretty limited. You can't say, I want this page, and this page. You've got two options, basically. You can create a widget which will show you your recently active pages. So pages you have visited and worked with recently. The other option you've got is to show your favourites. So I thought to myself, but I might want to see certain pages on my devices, but not particularly on the desktop. Obviously, you've got dashboards that you could use instead, but just to be aware that those favourites, if you're very careful with them, you can build a great navigation system that works from a widget on iOS. So it's just something to think about. Don't go through and favourite everything known to mankind. Just think, you know, what am I working on this week? I'll just change my favourites in Notion. And that way, you've got a perfect system working on your iOS devices. Now, in terms of devices, let me see if I can show you this one. I probably can if I can get this sharing. So let's see if we can do that. Let's get the old air server thing up again. And let's do the sharing again. This time it's my phone. You're thinking about it. Could you think a bit faster? Awesome. Right, let's get rid of that. And there, I've got my favourites. So at the top, I've got After Hours 122, working on right now. I've got March, I'm finishing March off. I've got a link to my notes. I've got a link to MacBites 2.0, which is a dashboard. And a link to MacBites 136. Is Jonathan still awake? MacBites 136. The shock might kill him. Is the embedded... So the embedded video won't be lost. At the moment, it would be, Kim. The embedded video would be lost because I haven't actually downloaded it and done anything with it. So let me just get out of here. That's the favourites. You can see the craft one underneath, which gives me my documents. Then there's my to-do stuff and all the rest of it. I don't think I've got any others actually there at the moment. But what I do have, I have that, which is my recents. So it's exactly the same kind of widget. It's just freeform and it's the stuff that I have recently activated. So you know I've been to some of those pages today. And I also do it where I have the favourites at the top here and a link to individual pages at the bottom. But the point I'm making is the bit at the top that you're looking at there, where it's got After Hours 122, that is your favourites. So if I add something else to my favourites, that will appear there. But for this to be useful on iOS, I don't want it to be overloaded because I only get the option to see, I think it's 8 favourites. So I'm very careful what I put in my favourites. That's the point that I'm making there. Now, if it's to do with, let's get rid of that. If it's to do with losing this video, then what you would need to do with this is actually download it. Now, obviously, trying to download from YouTube is a dark art at any point. There are a couple of applications that will let you do it. I have one which is in, let's get rid of this. I have one that is part, and I think I've demonstrated this, of this thing, Drop Zone. So this is the black hole that Mike and I share. I've got my archive, got my download folder, and I have some things here. So this is accessibility. This will zip anything I drop on it, and this will download a YouTube video. I would, well, I don't know what YouTube think about people actually doing that. And honestly, as a content creator, if somebody downloads your video and they watch it 3-4 times, you don't get any hits for that, or your view count doesn't go up, and if you are monetize the video, you don't get any money for doing it either. So it's not exactly good news for creators, and I don't know what YouTube make of it, but if you wanted to do it, it's as simple, depending on what application you've got to do it. I took the URL and I pasted it in there, and that happens to be one of my videos. So I'm okay downloading one of my own videos. You can see at the top, it put a little tick in it, and it downloaded that to my downloads folder. So if I shove all of that in there, I can show you that what you get is that. So what I end up with is this. Now this is quite short, 24 meg, so it's not that big. But that is actually the video. I can't play you anymore, because if I do, I'm going to get a copyright strike against myself, because that's how YouTube works. But what I can do with that is drag the video into here, and that will then start to actually upload. Now I'm on the free plan with that, and it's over that, so it doesn't like that. But what I'll do is I will upload it to my own, and then you'll be able to see it. Where shall we put that? Let's get Vivaldi up. There we are. Where have you gone? Oh, you're Vivaldi. Okay. Right, okay. I will bring mine on and I will put it at the bottom of one of these pages. So, I better not look at that one. Here we go. This is what we're doing at the moment in here. So down the bottom here, I've got the video in the download folder. I will drag and drop it in there, and it will upload it. Now what it's doing is it's uploading it to S3 storage. I don't pay for that, Notion pay for that, and that's why it's limited on the free account to 5 meg. That's motoring, that's doing quite nicely. So what you will end up with that is an embedded video there. When it's finished chugging around away with itself, you can then scale that as you want, so you can have it full width, or I tend to have those quite narrow, and then I put the stuff underneath it. So that won't be deleted if I deleted the video, because it's my video. That video would be in your Vivaldi's, your Notion setup, and it would not be deleted. But what I would say with that is think carefully, because, if content creators are creating content and you love the content and they don't get any reward for that because you're downloading them and watching them offline, they'll stop creating the content. That's how it works. So watching it on YouTube is a good idea, but I appreciate people, might want a copy of that just in case it's going to disappear. But do think about that before you download it. That is how content creators have vanished, unfortunately, because it costs stuff to buy. Obviously, it costs quite a bit to outfit a YouTube studio. I mean, the software that we use to do live broadcasts, when we first bought it, the retail price was over £1,000. After that, you get updates, and we're now on some kind of maintenance subscription. But, you're looking at a huge investment to be able to do that. That's why there's ads on YouTube. Although I don't monetize after hours. The other stuff that is not. Right, the other thing that you can do in here, so let's get back to this one. Yes, we know all about that, and we're not trying to upload it anymore. We've gone the other way. Right, the other thing that you can do is actually share pages. So we've seen that with Craft, but you can go in here, and the reason that you might be thinking more carefully about this in Notion is to share templates and stuff like that. So I am looking at this. I'm not seeing the share. Why is the share? Oh, there's the share. Right, I don't do this often. Right, there's the share. So you get an option in here. It's quite, for such a tiny dialog box, you need to be thinking about that. Right, you can publish and share the link with anybody. So that then makes it public. Or you can add individual people, which is what the middle option is. So I could just share it with individual people. Or I could just copy the link, right? And it says only you can access this page. So the link will only work for you. So in essence, it's exactly the same as hitting this copy at the top and just copying the URL. So there's 3 different things that this dialog box is talking about. You copying a link only for you. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, I might want to do that if we think about, let's say I'm going to talk about this video in relation to... And I'm going to get one of the pages that we've got in here. So this was the page we were working on earlier. And let's say I decide to put in here with this. Let's get it up here somewhere. We get in there. I don't want to go into it. So back you go. Spacebar, and I'm going to put something underneath. So this is how to create a boot disk. Right, but my notes for this are in Notion. Everything is in Notion, but this is something that I'm going to do for one of the shows. So I make it a showpiece by doing that with it. Okay, and then say, right, okay, that's a showpiece and it's up there. And I go into here, and what I then want to do is put the link in there. And that then gives me a link to Notion. So if I double click that, it has opened. Well, it would do. Oh, crying out loud. It's sort of working and it's sort of not working. It is, but it needs to open. I'd have to copy that URL. I can't just click it because it's opening in the wrong browser. I'm logged in the wrong browser. But if I could just grab that link and put it up there. Thank God. There you go. Right, it's because of the setup, because I've got 2 accounts going at the moment. But that is just giving me a link for me. That's not sharing it. But if I go into here and I do a share to web, then I get a whole lot more to think about, which is the first thing to do is to just copy the link. Now, if I copy the link at that point, nobody can edit it, nobody can add any comments, but they can duplicate it as a template. Now, I can't do this one where the search engine indexing thing is, because that's Personal Pro. I need to upgrade for that. But these 3 I can. So if I wanted to allow you to duplicate this as a template, then all I would need to do is say, that's it, just copy the link. Now, you've already seen if I paste that link into the browser that I am actually logged into as me, so I think I've got a Chrome thing going on somewhere. If I take a URL from one of these pages. So let's say the wiki one, when we did the wiki. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it into another browser. And what I'm doing that for is to show you it won't work. You don't have access to MacBites demo. No, I don't. You're quite right. Because I'm logged in as me. If I go up here, right, we can see I'm logged in as me into Giles Thomas. So I don't have any kind of access to that at all in this browser. But I've just made this one shareable in here. So if I copy that link, even though it's in MacBites demo, if I go to this browser where I am logged in as me, I should be able to see it. Woo-hoo! But it's not mine. Okay, it belongs to somebody else. So if we look here, there's no sidebar. There is a search and there's Notion. And if we look at this, it's got no identification as to where it came from. So it doesn't say MacBites demo. It doesn't say Giles Thomas. It doesn't say Elaine Giles. It just has Notion and then the title of the page and then a load of hieroglyphics at the end. But what I can do with it is duplicate it to my system. So if I hit duplicate, now I am in Giles Thomas and it's created a new page in my private area there. And this is now, I can edit it and do whatever I like with it. So I could go in here and think, oh, I don't need that. You know, and I've got the video embedded, so I don't particularly need this either. So let's get rid of that. I can start making changes to this because it's a copy of it. The copy is not kept up to date. So if there are changes made in the MacBites arena, so back in here, if I were to go in there, changes made after sharing, okay, that will not ripple through into here. This is a copy that I've made. If you're going to do things like that, and that's how templates are shared, that's how we got the yoga stuff, okay? What you would need to do is keep a copy of the URL. And the URL I mean is this URL in here. So where we got that shared and we can copy that, when you're in the other browser in here and we put that in, you need to keep a copy of that URL. And then when you duplicate it, so I'm going to duplicate it a second time in here. That's going to give me 2 pages here. That's the first one we did that doesn't have the 2 things at the top. And that one there does, because we copied it, we duplicated it into our account after the other one had been edited. Right, you can in here as well. So if we turn the sharing off on that, let's turn it off and then go back to it. And we want to share it. You could allow comments if you wanted people to be able to comment on it. And you could even allow them to edit that page. So it's one way of working with other people, that you could allow them to edit it. Obviously, that way madness and danger lies. But you could if you wanted to. And it's all controlled from the share option at the top. Right, do we have any questions here? Kim said I should monetize after hours. As I have to watch them several times just to get it. Well, I could, but it's such a long show. I don't know how many adverts they'd put in it. So Renee says, true, Kim, I sometimes watch videos more than once too. The Affinity videos in particular. Well, the Affinity videos are monetized. They are usually monetized after I've finished the live show. So if you join us live, no adverts, which is just as well, or we'd be talking in 2 different time zones, wouldn't we? Because I'd carry on talking and they would put yours on pause while they played a video for you, and then you'd pick up again and we'd be about an hour and a half separate. So that would never work. So if you come along live, there's no ads. You watch later, there's ads. Unless you've got YouTube Red, YouTube Premium, as it's now called. In which case, then they share that with the content creators. So any questions about that, put it in. I'm going to have to put this thing on some juice or it's going to collapse, this poor iPad. It's already complaining. It said 20%, then it said 10, now it's just said 5. So I think I'm actually going to have to plug it in or it's going to get very upset. Okay. While you have a ponder about the questions, I'll tell you what's coming up. We have next week's show. 123. 1, 2, 3. On the 9th. And we're still on holiday, aren't we? Mike's forgotten, bless him. He's in another time zone himself. No, but we are still on holiday. It's the last day of Mad March on Sunday. I know it's April, but April was March was a short month. So we're finishing Mad March on Sunday, where we have gone live every Sunday at 3 p.m. UK time. We are doing Bridge. I know it's an Adobe app, but it's so capable and it can help you. I use it. I actually use it. I know that you're shocked, but I do, and it's completely free. It's one of the free things that Adobe give us, which is kind of them. So that will be on Sunday at 4 o'clock, 7 a.m. for Kim.
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, sorry, 3 o'clock. I'm looking at the date. 3 o'clock, but 7 o'clock for Kim, and 10 o'clock in Eastern time. And I think, is that 4 o'clock in Europe? I do think Europe are ahead of us. Mm. Well, they like to think they are, don't they? Europe do love that. So Europe are an hour ahead. Right, on demand, we have everything that we've done so far. So we have Master the Export Persona. We have the blend modes that we did in Affinity Photo. We have creative tables in Affinity Publisher. That one was doing very well. That one was ahead until last week when mastering master pages happened. And then what happened? That one got as many views as the tables one in a week as the tables one did in 2 weeks. So that one is the most popular so far, which is ridiculous because I did a poll and I said, what do you want? And that one came bottom. Honestly, I don't know what's going on. That's why it was done the last of the 4. Anyway, they're all available on demand. You can get that at youtube.com/Elaine Giles. We also have the after hours, all of the after hours, all the way back to episode 1 in the middle of October 2018 is there to watch. They're all there. And the easiest way to get to there is macbites.co.uk/after hours playlist. Of course, we are still marooned at MacBites headquarters. Apparently the R rate is racing up, but the death rate's racing down. So, no idea how long we'll be marooned, but we are still marooned at the moment. What were we today? 383 days in. But we're more than that, because we started it on the 16th of March, but we hadn't gone out since the 6th. So actually, we're heading to 400, and Kim's even nearer 400 than we are. And we're all still marooned, so marooned is happening. I am a little bit behind with the shows. I think it's about 4 or 5. It's nothing to worry about. But Tracy's run out, so I've got to get onto it. Smartish. But that is the URL where you can subscribe to it, and that is the QR code that you need for your podcatcher of choice. All of that is happening on MacBites FM. Every day there's something MacBitesy. So, we love you guys. If you love us, can you give us a like? It really makes a difference with YouTube, and you know what YouTube are like.
Kim had a question.
I will have a look at Kim's question very, very soon. Just let me wrap this up. There is a mailing list from me with all of the timings on stuff, which will be coming out to you tomorrow to advertise the one the day after, and have the links from the last one. That is elainegiles.com/VIP. And there's also the MacBites mail, macbites.co.uk/macbites-mail. You could always join us in Slack. Completely free. It's where we carry on the conversation. We do have fun. And we see loads of pictures from Tracy, which are fabulous. Oh, she's got the most amazing views. So go to macbites.co.uk/Slack. And there we will all be. Right. Okay. There was a question. Let me have a look. Where is it? Hang on. Where's Kim's question? Oh, there we go. Got a question with your build with me regarding days, months, quarters and years. Okay. We're being very quiet at the moment. We don't want to disturb sleeping folk, do we, Mike? Somebody who may be asleep. Right, if you've got a question, Kim, if you want to put it in now, or you can catch me inside just mail me, whatever's easiest for you. Next week, I will be wrapping up the Notion thing with the Grand Tour. Next week is going to be the Grand Tour of Notion. I think we've lost him. I think we've lost the young guy. The Grand Tour will be my setup with all the dashboards and how everything hangs together. So next week might be a good idea for questions. But if you've got a question right now, then just get it to me, Kim, and we will sort it out. Right, I'm going to switch to the contact in there. I know it looks very similar. It just means I'm out of my PowerPoint, which means I can see everything else. Right, okay, I need to do that. I definitely need to do that, and I definitely need to do that, and I need to wait for Kim. Kim says she'll talk in Marooned tomorrow. Excellent, I shall look forward to that. I think he's gone.
Peter's got a question
2 points
as well.
For me. Who's got a question?
And Peter.
Peter, okay. Do I know of an app that will allow you to view folders in a tree format on an iMac and expand all the levels in one go? Oh, might be able to help you there. Right, first off, we'll do this because it's called. And I'm going in here. Oh, Kim, I've never used this before. There's a button I've never used. There is a button that says +2. Boom. Oh, never used that one before. Oh, Jonathan, thank you very much. Can I just say there's a third button, and that's a +3. I don't know when we're going to use that, but Kim will work it out. Poor Jonathan, he was doing so well. So well. Right, so you want something in a tree structure where you can view the folders in a tree format on an iMac, expand all the levels in one click. Let's have a go. Let's switch to that and do that and have a go. Okay, there's a new Finder window. It's pointing at Dropbox, but we won't worry about that. We'll do it on the desktop. Oh, I've got rubbish on the desktop. Naughty me. Right, let's just get rid of that. Okay. Let's say we've got a folder structure. And inside the folder structure, there are folders inside the folder structure. Is that what we're saying? So I've got these multiple ones. Let me shift this new folder out of the way. Let's get that in there. So we've got something like this. Is this what we're talking about? Right, what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to do a rename. So this is better find a rename. I need to get all of those and drag them into there. And I don't want that. I want, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of the lot. Right, all I'm doing here is renaming them. There are other ways to rename them, but what I want to do is to create a sequence and just call this folder. And I don't want that on the end. I want a number on the end, which is 4 digits and not that at the end. I want that up here. So folder, thus. Right, now I've got 12 folders. Right. Pathfinder can probably do it, but I'm sure you can just do it in Finder. Right, there are my folders. Not particularly in any great order, but there you go. Right, inside them I'm going to move some of these folders so they're in other folders. So we'll put the bottom ones in there. We'll put these ones in here. And it wouldn't matter, it shouldn't matter, however many are in it or if there's any files in it. But if you do a Command and A and you do Command and right arrow, it will unfold them. Now, if you want to do that with all of them, it's that one. So what you need to know is keyboard shortcuts. Command Shift right arrow will unfurl all of them. So these, the down pointing arrows are open. If you do it the other way, so let's fold them all up again. If you do it with just Command, it unfolds the top level. If you do it the other way with the Shift applied, it should do the whole lot. Pathfinder will do exactly the same because Pathfinder will use exactly the same shortcuts. So Finder's really, really powerful. It just hides its power all the time. You can do batch renaming and stuff, but it's not obvious, so I just leave it alone and use Finder rename. But yeah, you should be able to do that in the Finder. And then depending on the view that you've got, so if you were in this view, that would give you a bit more, that would be a bit trickier, wouldn't it? I don't think that would work at all in that view. Probably not. Let's go back to where we were on the desktop. Would it work in that view? Again, probably not, because you have to focus on one of these to get the next one and the next one and the next one. What have we got there? That's just organising them, and so is that. So really, you'd need to be in that view to be able to see these. Didn't realise you could do this in Finder. What happens, Paul, it's bizarre. They don't advertise this stuff. And I'm just sitting there minding my own, thinking to myself, I need to open all these files. And then I'm thinking, you know, my brain is like in Scrivener. And I know the shortcut in Scrivener and I just use it. And then I think, oh, wow, that worked. This is Finder. Who knew? You think, I wish Apple would tell you these things, but they don't. So yeah, that's an easy way to work. I use that in Scrivener all the time. In Scrivener, I mean, it is exactly the same thing. But if you think about what you're doing, let's get the email generator. Okay, there's the email. Right, what I need to do in here, you see all these weeks here? These are weeks of mails. So if I open all the mails that we sent, it's like, oh, darn it. Then I have to open Monday and then Tuesday and then Wednesday. It takes forever. So if I just hold down the Option key in there, boom, they're all done. So it's. I mean, that happens to be an app, but just play around with it. There'll be a shortcut key, trust me. If there was another level below that, would it open those two? Yes, it would. So let's get. That's doing a backup, an automatic backup, and that file is huge. Hundreds and hundreds of mails. Right, if we take one of these folders, so let's take that one and put that under there. So we've got 4 levels. In fact, we can go 5 levels deep if you want. Let's not worry about the numbers. Right, so that's got loads of them in it. Right, if we close these up like that, close up every one of them, and that one. Right, and you do a Command and A. Right, it will unfurl to the first level with Command right arrow. Let's fold them up again. Command Shift and right arrow should open them all. Hang on, what are you doing? You just open them all. Command and A, let's go back that way. There you go. Right, it's exactly the same key. It's the Option key. So if you just hold the Option key down, it will unfurl the entire lot. Doesn't matter. Shall we make more of them? Shall we put all of these in here and all of these and see if we can break it? Is there a maximum in here at all? Let's find out. Right, where are we here? Oh, we've got 2 on the same level. I want you in there. And let's have the last one in there. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is actually close them all. That should close them. There you go. Right, so if I use the right arrow key on its own, it just opens the top one. If I use that with Command, it opens the top one. If I use it with Option, it will go all the way down, many as you like. And you don't need to spend money. what's going on here? If there was another level, no, you actually just need that option key, which is exactly the same key. In fact, you don't even need to use the right arrow key with this. If I hold the option key down and I furl it, then they will fold up. I'm not using any keys at the minute. I'm just opening that with the mouse. But if I hold the option key down with the mouse, they all open. So you don't even need to remember the shortcut key. You just need to remember that option will do that in any application. So in Scrivener, anything that's got a folder structure, you can do exactly the same thing. That drove me insane in Scrivener because you can see how many levels we've got with these mails. Originally, we weren't doing that with the mails. They were all in one folder. But, you know, Marooned, 400 shows heading to. And there's mails all over the place. So now they're organised by date, by week number, and within that by day. But you hold the option key down and it just opens the lot. Renee doesn't like spending money. Well, there you go. There's no point. I mean, I've got Pathfinder and it's amazing and I do certain jobs with it. I process the show with it. The reason that I do that is that I have a saved set of folders that I can open in Pathfinder. But in terms of doing basic things, you might as well just not open it and just use Finder. If Finder can do it, then use Finder, because that's bound to be open in front of you. And then keep the other apps. If you don't need them, then don't buy them. You know, if they don't give you any benefit whatsoever, then you don't need to buy them. If they do, then save them for the heavy lifting. Plus the fact you now know your operating system better than you did when you started. There you go. Doesn't matter how many folders deep you've got. I should probably do a little video on that, shouldn't I? Because you would imagine, they just don't advertise it. I don't know how I got that in Scrivener. I probably just decided, I wonder, and then played around with the keys until it worked. And it works the other way as well. So if I fold that up and then open it, you can totally fold all of those up because you don't want them open the next time you go in. So there you go. Finder's actually quite capable. Maybe we should do a benefits of Finder at some point. The things that Finder can do that we either forget or never knew in the first place. There you go. Right, okay, we were at that point, weren't we? There we go, that's where we were. Right, we better head off, hadn't we?
And get something to eat.
Yes, because I am actually a bit hungry now you mention it. We've got a very busy day, you know, being on holiday and all that. Yeah, typical, we've got a busy day. We will do that, Kim, we'll have a Finder show, or part of a show for Finder. So good morning to you, Jonathan, if you've made it this far. Excellent. Right, I'm glad you all enjoyed it. We will see you very, very soon. Tomorrow we've got Marooned. We're following Marooned with by request, the theme of which is seasons. And, you know, think laterally. Winter, spring, summer, fall, autumn. But fall, that's just a word, isn't it? So you might find that in other contexts. Falling into you, just saying. So hopefully at least some of you will be able to join us for that. And then we're back to Marooned. And then who knows, because it's our holiday. Anything could happen. But for the moment, I'm going to say good night from me.
And good night from me.
And we will both see you next time. Stay safe, guys.